have you. Please speak into the mic and speak up so that not only can you be recorded, but everyone can hear you. If you are the single representative of a group, then you get up to 5 minutes. If you are one of many people speaking for that group, you get up to 3 minutes. It's okay not to repeat over and over what you've already heard. This is my, I think it's 15th budget as either a council member or a county executive, so I'm familiar with almost all of your issues, and so we are taking all of your thoughts greatly under consideration, and then that feeds into, we have almost 80 people signed up. So please respect the time of others. We want to make sure we get to everyone and everyone is heard, because all of your issues are important and will help build upon the foundation of our county. We're going to have Safahira here reading the names. And please note that I also have many members of my team here, constituent services, chief of staff, and also to my left, you'll see Lonnie Robbins, our chief administrative officer, and to my right, Dr. Holly Sun, our budget administrator. We are here. We have the A-team, and we're going to get this done tonight. So thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. We'll start off with Dr. Kathleen Hetherington from Howard Community College, followed by Felicita Sola Carter and Jonathan Cross.
Good evening, County Executive Ball, Mr. Robbins and Dr. Sun. I'm Kate Hetherington, president of Howard Community College and a resident of Columbia. I'm very proud to share with you that the college received the 2019 Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award, which is the only presidential level recognition for performance excellence in the United States. Yes, thank you. So this honor would not have been possible without the hard work and dedication of the trustees, faculty, and staff of HCC. And I would like everyone here representing HCC to please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Thank you for all the great work that you do. At Howard Community College, our mission is providing pathways to success. In today's global economy, achieving this mission is not only critical, it's a business imperative. Howard Community College must remain an agile organization that provides programs and services that are innovative and respond to students' and employers' needs. It takes significant funding to educate the 30,000 credit and non-credit students at HCC. But with your financial support, combined with the top-rated programs that address workforce demand, Howard County will continue to attract and retain a diverse and talented community of learners today and for generations to come. The county's past capital budget support has resulted in the newly renovated Academic Commons in Howard Hall, which provide updated classrooms and labs for the social sciences, teacher education, and the culinary and hospitality programs. Looking ahead to fiscal year 2021, do we want the lights on, folks? I don't know. I hope you can hear me.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
It's not amplifying as much as I'd like for other people in the audience, so we're just trying to work.
All right.
You know, I haven't been in this room in a little while, so.
All right. Should I speak louder?
No,
Okay.
you're fine.
All
We'll
right.
figure it out.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Dr.
I don't want you to miss a word of what I'm about to say.
Exactly. I am hanging on every
I
word.
know you are. All right. So looking ahead to fiscal year 2021, the college is asking the county to invest $7.4 million. That's just why I want to make sure you hear me. $7.4 million in capital funding towards the design and construction of a new mathematics and athletics complex. I'm hearing it now. All right, yay. And that complex will enrich the lives of students and our community. The college anticipates that the governor will support the project at the same level of funding. Developing this facility joins academics with athletics in a creative approach that will serve as a central hub for student learning and engagement while also meeting workforce demands. The new facility will replace outdated instructional spaces while also improving insufficient space for current and future enrollments. That mathematics division is now housed in a former office building that was reconfigured for provisional use for academics, and the current athletics center continues to operate far beyond its structural life. As proposed, the current center would be 55 years old by the time a new complex is built. The college is also seeking support in the amount of $3.6 million from the county for systemic renovations. This important funding will go towards much needed deferred maintenance and critical infrastructure needs, as well as facilities improvements and upgrades. So on behalf of the HCC faculty, staff, and students, thank you so much for all that you've done in the past, and we hope what you will do going into the future. And we will continue to work with you as the budget season continues. Your support is essential as HCC fulfills its mission of providing pathways to success for all of its students, faculty, staff, and our community. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Hetherington. I just want to personally and publicly congratulate you on that Baldrige Award. That is one of the most phenomenal things that I've ever seen for a learning institution. It really speaks to the high quality of excellence for everyone working with HCC, so congratulations.
Thank you for all your support and for all the work that wonderful faculty and staff have done, and our trustees as well. Thank you.
Next, we'll have Felicita Sola Carter. Following her will be Jonathan Kraus. Following him will be Nikki Highsmith Vernick.
Good evening, County Executive Ball, Mr. Robbins, and Dr. Sun. I'm Felice Sola Carter, a resident of Columbia, and honored to be the chair of the Board of Trustees of Howard Community College. This evening, I speak on behalf of the board, and I wish to acknowledge my colleague, Trustee Stephen Just, who is with us this evening. Howard Community College has a long history of being on the forefront of innovation for tomorrow's workforce needs. Moving forward, I am confident that our continued collaboration with the county will allow HCC to invest in facilities that enrich the lives of students and fund pathways to success for our community, our students, and our employees. Allow me to share a few examples of how HCC is innovating for tomorrow's future. HCC is a leader in apprenticeships, creating 3 brand new Earn While You Learn programs over the past 2 years. More apprenticeships are also on the way. Our partnership with the Howard County Public School System opens doors to a college education while students are still in high school. We experienced an amazing 1,524% growth between spring 2014 and spring 2019. We transformed our internship program to allow students to receive work experiences on campus. With this transformation, on-campus and off-campus internships grew more than 96% over the past 4 fiscal years. With such innovation, HCC is certainly a wise investment. The numbers speak for themselves. For every dollar allocated to HCC, we yield a 4.6% return. In just 1 year, $338 million in added income to the local economy due to operations and student and annual spending. That's an equivalent to supporting 5,328 jobs in Howard County. Also, for 11 consecutive years, the Chronicle of Higher Education named HCC as a great college to work for. HCC is one of only 2 community colleges in the nation to win this award every year if possible. It is our employees who make HCC such a special place for students and the community. By supporting our budget request in fiscal year 2021, you will ensure that we maintain operations at the highest possible levels to continue innovation and performance excellence. And most importantly, you will provide our very deserving full and part-time budgeted employees with merit increases and provide adjunct faculty members with a pay rate increase. HCC does not give step or cost of living increases. The college gives merit increases based on job performance. Therefore, our merit increases are essential to remaining competitive and to supporting and retaining quality employees.
Could you wrap up your last thought, please?
Yes, sir, I will. My last item is that we also want to increase our pay rate for adjunct faculty, remain competitive with Prince George's Community College, our partner at Laurel Center. And we look forward to working with you in our 2021 budget. Thank you, and may you continue to support us.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jonathan Kraus, followed by Nikki Highsmith-Vernick and Clara Daly.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Kraus, and I am a student of Dayton, Maryland, and a resident at Howard Community College. Or maybe that's the other way around. My first day of classes at Howard Community College was as a 9th grader, and I actually dual enrolled in high school and took a lot of classes at HCC in high school. Only 15 minutes from my house, HCC conveniently offered me a way to not only meet my high school requirements, but also get a valuable start on my college journey. By the time that I graduated in 2017 from high school, I had around 30 college credits and had most of my general education courses out of the way. Rather than heading straight for a 4-year university, I decided to stay at HCC so that I could earn my associate's degree and get an affordable yet quality education. Not to mention that I had grown to love HCC, yeah, I said it, and I got to know a lot of the faculty and their wonderful personalities, and a few examples are behind me. Why have I grown to love HCC? HCC has an amazing learning environment that is prevalent in every department on campus. The size of the classes are suited so that you aren't just a number in a huge class lost in a sea of students. I can ask lots of questions, become more connected with the faculty, and that helps me to learn the material better so that I'm more effective when I get to the workforce. I'm studying to become a mechanical engineer, and my current plan is to graduate in May 2020 from the University of HCC and then transfer to the University of Maryland. Got stumbled with my words, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Happened to me a lot too.
Thank you. And transfer to the University of Maryland, where I earned my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. As an engineering student, I spend most of my time in the Science, Engineering, and Technology building at HCC, and I've spent a good amount of time in the math building as well. The new Science, Engineering, and Technology building is awesome, and it's got lots of labs with amazing tools and updated technology for hands-on learning experiences. In comparison, the math building is definitely outdated. I've seen firsthand why HCC needs a new math building and athletics complex. When I walk into the new Science and Engineering and Technology building, I'm inspired to learn and excited to start my day. By contrast, the math building, or Hickory Ridge as we know it, feels completely different and is often limiting with its outdated facilities. That is why the new proposed facility is so exciting, even though I won't get to see it. Thank you so much for your support of HCC. Your investment ensures students like me can achieve the education they need at an affordable price so that when we get to the workforce, we have what we need to serve Howard County. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So before I call Nikki up, my apologies, this is my first time doing this. Do we have any students who wish to testify? Come on out.
My name is Clara Daly. I live in Laurel, Maryland. I used to live in Columbia. When I went to Gilford Elementary School, I walked and bicycled to school, but it was really dangerous because there were no sidewalks or bike lanes. My parents moved, and now I live really close to Hammond Elementary School. I can walk and bike to school every day. It is fun. My mom goes to the grocery store and the library on her bicycle when I'm at school, but she never lets me come because it's still too dangerous. There are no bike lanes or sidewalks outside of my neighborhood, and that's what makes it so dangerous. When you're doing your budget, please use some of the money for sidewalks and bicycle lanes so then other people don't get hit by cars. Also, please make sure you finish the projects. It's silly to pay the money and then not do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other students here to testify? Okay, next we have Nikki Highsmith-Vernick from the Horizon Foundation. Following her will be John Slater and Franlo Presley.
I don't think I can top that, but I'll try. Good evening, County Executive Ball, Dr. Sun, and Mr. Robbins. My name is Nikki Highsmith-Vernick, and I'm President and CEO of the Horizon Foundation. As Howard County's Community Health Foundation and the largest independent health philanthropy in the state of Maryland, we want Howard County to be a place where people can easily and safely bike or walk anywhere they need to go. This will positively impact our community's health, economic vibrancy, and the environment. So everyone who is here with me tonight as part of the Streets for All Coalition, please stand. We share your vision of a more walkable, bikeable, and accessible Howard County, and we are heartened that so many members of our community do so as well. In last year's budget, the county promised $2.2 million in funding for bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure projects. This was a historic level of funding for Howard County. Thank you. We also commend you for including miles of bike paths completed as part of the new Howard County Dash performance metric system. Improving opportunities to bike and walk is critical for our community, and we applaud you and your commitment to improving active transportation and the progress that has been made to date in doing so. And I also thank your Chief Innovation Officer for rolling out Dash with not just an innovative, but a very collaborative manner in the community. Thank you. The $2.75 million in bike infrastructure projects requested this year by the county's Office of Transportation would break last year's record. I like breaking records. We are in strong support of this increased amount of funding. It aligns much more closely with our ideal recommendation of $3 million per year to meet the goals of the Bike Howard Master Plan in the timeline that was originally intended. We also thoroughly support a more robust investment in building and improving sidewalks, crosswalks, and other projects to improve safety and connectivity for pedestrians. This is particularly critical in areas such as Guilford, Elkridge, Savage, and Jessup, where upgrades to biking and walking infrastructure have lagged for too long, as we heard from Claire. As we deliberate on what the overall budget for these projects should be, we must prioritize communities using the Vulnerable Population Index, as specified in CR 120, which established a complete streets policy in Howard County to identify spaces where the need for sidewalks, crosswalks, bus stops, and bike lanes are the greatest. Thank you again for making that happen, and thanks to the County Council. Everyone in Howard County will benefit from greater investment in bike and pedestrian projects. The health, economic, and environmental benefits to doing so are undeniable. Moreover, this investment is especially critical for many residents in our community who do not have access to car or other transportation. Improving our biking and walking infrastructure will help us create a more equitable community where all people can get to where they need to go safely and easily. So not only must we fund these projects, we must follow that funding with action by making real, tangible changes that people can see and use, starting in neighborhoods that need it the most. The county has increased overall funding for biking and walking projects each year over the past several years. Clearly, we are moving in the right direction and making smart investments for our future. We must continue this progress and help Howard County be a leader in biking and walking and health. Doing so will help us create communities where all people can thrive, no matter who they are or where they live. Again, we thank you for your work, your commitment to this issue, and we strongly support these efforts to increase funding for bike and pedestrian infrastructure projects in the 2021 budget. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Next, we have John Slater, followed by Franlo Presley and Elizabeth Crum.
Good evening, County Executive Ball, Dr. Sun, Mr. Robbins. My name is John Slater. I live at 4637 Willow Grove Drive, and I'm here tonight to voice my support for a new standalone East Columbia 50+ Center. As you might guess, I'm both a senior citizen and a Howard County resident. I've lived in Howard County since 1971, 48 years, and I am a frequent user of the East Columbia 50+ Center. The current center is seriously inadequate to support services and activities for the growing senior population in East Columbia. I urge you to support full funding for the project on an accelerated timetable, specifically that it be started in fiscal year 21. Further delays will only cost the county more money. After graduating from the Rouse Company in 1974, I ran my own business in Howard County for 42 years. Consequently, I've been responsible for paying a substantial amount of taxes in Howard County. I like Howard County and I would like to be able to stay here. One solid reason is to stay is to know that we will be having a brand new cutting-edge seniors facility. The 50+ Center has co-sponsored programs that have served larger East Columbia communities such as a repair clinic, the garden, the raised garden, a tech cafe, a dental clinic, and hosting a session of Getting Ahead for people in poverty of all ages. A larger center would allow room for connections for memory-challenged seniors and will mean more service for all of Howard County, such as Kindred Spirits and Connections Social Day programs, to reduce isolation of loved ones and provide respite for caregivers. I applaud the idea of the building being a green building, LEED Gold certified. What does that mean? It means healthier indoor space, lower use of energy, water, and other resources. Better for the community and the environment, as well as the building occupants, especially seniors. A LEED certified building will enhance the image of Howard County, and it will make me proud to stay here in Howard County. Seniors are a valuable resource in our county. We pay property taxes but require no school funds and require fewer overall services compared to the general population. We volunteer our expertise and experience in record numbers. Howard County needs to show a concrete commitment to encourage and keep a robust senior population. Building a new center will be a top priority, must be a top priority. A large center will mean more in service for all of Howard County. We need to retain our seniors. We urge you to fully support the project in fiscal year 21's capital budget. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Next, we have Fran Lowe Presley with the East Columbia 50+ Advocacy Group. Following her will be Elizabeth Crum and Elizabeth Rendon Sherman, both with the hospital.
Hello, Dr. Ball, Dr. Sung, Mr. Robbins. My name is Fran Lopresti, and I have lived in Columbia for more than 40 years, and in my home, current home, 40 years this summer. I'm here to testify for full construction funds in FY21 for the East Columbia 50+ Center. That's project C0335. First, let me do a little bit of statistics here. Currently, 21% of the Howard County population is over the age of 60, including me. That percent will rise over the next 25 years to 30%. Over the last 10 years, the senior population has grown 5 times faster than any other segment of our county, including students. Howard County residents 65 years and over pay about 22% of taxes, but are only 15% of the population. Our rising senior population means we must increase services to this population if the community wants us to remain in the county. The East Columbia area has the highest density of people age 60 and above. Clearly, there's a need for a regional 50+ center in the area. Just a few items about history. In 2015, a master plan was developed to create an age-friendly community. That plan called for a 35,000 square foot regional center in East Columbia to replace the 2,400 square feet of space that we currently have. Given that document, it should have been built by now, and I should be enjoying it. It was not until FY19, with a lot of advocacy from the seniors, that any design money was allocated. In FY20, under new county leadership, full design money was allocated to the project. The site has been chosen to be next to the East Columbia Library. The Department of Community Resources and Services and the architects that have been hired have had public meetings on the design of this new building. The seniors are confident that this new center will meet the many needs of seniors of East Columbia and beyond for many years to come. So now we must allocate full construction funds so that we can finally, after 8 years, have a center that seniors deserve. We are aware that costs have increased. There have been increases in steel due to tariffs, cost increases over time to labor, and having a LEED designated building may increase upfront costs, but exhibit long-term savings in operating costs. Howard County, I want to point out, has embarked just last week, I believe it was announced, has embarked on a multi-year plan to be designated as an AARP certified age-friendly community. We applaud that effort. The new East Columbia 50+ Center will be a giant step forward in this plan. If I could just take a moment to acknowledge the other seniors who came out on this senior night, on this rainy night. We like to go to bed early along with the students, you know. So in conclusion, we need full construction funds for FY21 with occupancy in FY22. Let's build it, and let's build it now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Elizabeth Crum, Elizabeth Brendan Sherman, and Angela McKay with the hospital.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Crum.
Good evening, County Executive Dr. Ball, Dr. Sun, Mr. Robbins. My name is Elizabeth Edsel Crum, and I'm the Vice President of Population Health and Advancement at Howard County General Hospital. I'm also a resident of Columbia. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. I first want to thank you for your leadership in improving the health of our community. We are fortunate to have such a strong partner in health and someone who's demonstrated his commitment not just through words, but through actions, in particular in ensuring that our shared health goals are reflected in the county budget. A few other folks want to express their gratitude as well, and I'd like to ask everyone here tonight representing the hospital to please stand. We are proud of the impact we've made in a short period of time thanks to your support. For example, our Practice Howard program, which you kicked off last year, through that we are increasing primary care services for county residents. By the end of this fiscal year, more than 8,000 county residents will have access to a doctor that did not have that before. With behavioral health, you recognized the importance of navigation services. Thanks to county funding, behavioral health navigators are now bedside in the ED in our emergency department, working with care teams and patients and their families to make sure that the right connections to community resources and supports are made and that people don't fall through the cracks. And we've been able to work with close to 500 individuals thanks to that support. We're also really excited by the progress that we've made with the Health Department, Fire and Rescue, and the Office on Aging and Independence to design a mobile integrated community health program and look forward to going live with that very soon. This is also thanks to your support. And as you know, health is more than healthcare, and our work tackles both the clinical and non-clinical factors that affect health. These non-clinical factors are what we call the social determinants of health. They truly matter. And if we want to become the #1 healthiest county in America, and I know we both do, we must continue to tackle the social determinants of health. We can get there, but we need your continued support of population health programs to do that. And I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention that we very much need the county's continued support for our capital projects. The hospital is committed to being the community's partner in health. We want to make sure that our county is equipped to care for a growing and aging population and that everyone is able to get the care they need in the right setting here in our county. Thank you again for your time, and I'm happy to provide any additional information throughout the process.
Thank you very much, Dr. Crum.
Next, we have Elizabeth Brendan Sherman, followed by Angela McKay, both with the hospital. Following them will be Aisha Holmes with Grassroots.
Good evening, County Executive Ball, Mr. Robbins, and Dr. Sun. My name is Elizabeth Rendon Sherman, and I'm the chair of the Howard County General Board of Trustees and the founder and owner of a Howard County business, LG Tech. I and my fellow trustees are honored to give our time and our resources to this important institution because we care about the health of this community. Our board plays a very active role in ensuring quality and safety inside the hospital for the benefit of our community. We are also keenly focused on the future viability and growth of Howard County's only hospital. We are proud, and you should be too, of the way our hospital provides services for our families, friends, and neighbors. We just learned that Howard County General Hospital became a 4-star hospital in the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Consumer Scorecard, and this is the first time ever for our hospital. This is a reflection of our service, our quality, and our people. Howard County is a world-class community, and we aspire to having a world-class hospital system, but building and maintaining this system is a challenge. The central core of this hospital was built in 1973, and some of our older spaces are beyond the end of their functional life. That's why we are undertaking a campus construction project that will replace our most outdated spaces, which includes our inpatient psychiatry unit, our short-stay observation unit, and the entrance to our emergency department. We hope to soon start phase 2 of that project, renovations which will allow us to add 30 inpatient beds, sorely needed to serve our aging and growing population. This capital program has a price tag of $45 million, and we are well on our way towards raising a third of the cost through philanthropy in our community. We are very grateful for the commitment of Howard County government to follow past practices and pledge to cover a third of our philanthropic needs. I am here tonight to ask you not to back away from that commitment, even in the face of competing priorities and budget challenges. The $5 million pledge from Howard County has meant that we are able to build this project. Without this commitment, we would have to scale back the additional beds, which are critical for our community and critical to our efforts to reduce the waiting time in our emergency department. We rely on this support because of the unique way that hospitals are reimbursed in Maryland. The total revenue we are allowed to collect from patients is frozen, and we cannot recoup money for capital. Howard County is a non-for-profit with a mission to provide for the health of our community. We are proud to be part of Johns Hopkins Medicine, which gives Howard County access to cutting-edge research, world-class specialists, and best practices in quality and safety. Yet we receive no financial support from the health system, and certainly no funding to support the purchase of equipment, renovate facilities, or construction of new buildings. It is through our partnership with Howard County government that the county's only hospital has been able to serve this community in the way they deserve and expect. We know you recognize the value of this hospital, and we are confident that you will fulfill the commitment to allow our families to receive care in the facilities they deserve. Thank you for your continued support.
Thank you.
Next, we have Angela McKay, followed by Aisha Holmes and Susan Garber.
Good evening. I'm Executive Ball, Administrator Robbins, and Budget Director Song. I am Dr. Angela McKay, and presently the nurse manager for the inpatient psychiatric unit at Howard County General Hospital. I've been a healthcare provider for over 30 years and have been in psychiatric care for nearly my entire career. I chose this field not only because I want to make a difference, but also to be able to confront the stigma surrounding mental illness. Today, I manage our community's 20-bed inpatient adult psych unit. We care for our family and friends in time of crisis when they are most vulnerable and in need of our expertise. The inpatient psychiatric unit, as you've already heard at Howard County General Hospital, is presently located in the oldest part of the facility and unfortunately does not meet today's clinical standards. A current construction project, which you're aware of, is slated to open up early next year. This new unit will increase not only our functional space, but also the number of patients we can care for in a therapeutic environment where staff and patients will feel safe. Our present staff, not to boast, nurses and techs have a total of 680 plus years of service at this time, which shows the commitment, dedication, knowledge, and skills required to work with these individuals in crisis. We are the safety net for our community. We thank you for your commitment, which will help us finish construction of our new psychiatric unit, our new observation unit, and a change to the emergency room department. We are asking you to follow through on this pledge for the good of our patients and families. As one of the senior leaders at Howard County General Hospital, I hear stories every day about how we treat our neighbors. I would like to share one with you. And this was from a letter we shared with our staff last week. It was a very cold morning, and there was an elderly patient in a wheelchair waiting in the front lobby by herself. She appeared to be somewhat uncomfortable. Leo, who's one of the volunteers, approached to offer assistance. He leaned down and asked her what she was here for and what she needed. She said she was very cold, held her hands out, and said, "Feel my hands." Leo put both of his warm hands on one of her cold hands and literally warmed her up. She offered him her other hand, and then he warmed the other hand up. His kind gesture took only a few minutes. She was so grateful and clearly more comfortable and smiling. He then wheeled her to the scheduled appointment. Leo warming her hands really warmed her heart. Our staff and our volunteers cares for everyone who walks through our doors as if they were a loved family member. As someone who interacts daily with a very challenging patient population,
I'm sorry, could you finish up
I
your
know,
last
I'm
thought?
finishing. I know how important care is. I implore you to fulfill the commitment for the capital project, which will help us tremendously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Aisha Holmes, followed by Susan Garber and Christopher Bernard.
Good evening, County Executive Ball, Mr. Robbins, and Dr. Sun. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you this evening. It is our honor at Grassroots to serve Howard County's most vulnerable adults and families. We strive to provide the highest quality of service to all in need. Through our Day Resource Center, Homeless Shelter, Cold Weather Shelter, and Crisis Center, we performed over 50,000 services last year, with over 40,000 of those through the Crisis Center. Part of our mission at Grassroots is to make sure that every person is treated with respect and dignity. We know that we share those values with you, and thank you for your partnership and support over the many years. I'm happy to share with you that in this fiscal year, Grassroots will be celebrating our 50th anniversary serving Howard County. And last week, I found out that Grassroots volunteers were voted us the best volunteer organization in Howard County. So we're really, really grateful for that, and we have 1,400 volunteers that make what we do happen every day, and we couldn't do it without them. As you know, homeless is not a choice. It's often something that happens after a very tragic outcome or an extended health emergency. In fiscal year 2019, Grassroots served over 500 people in some sort of an emergency shelter. 51 beds are provided in our year-round shelter. This gives individuals and families a chance to regroup from a traumatic event and work towards their housing goals in a safe place. We seek to limit those barriers that are keeping people from housing by providing case management, transportation, and other services. 3 weeks ago, we opened our 14th year of cold weather shelter with a partnership with our faith community and our county government, and that is an amazing example of a public-private partnership that works. The Leola Dorsey Center is our day resource center also, and there we see still over 100 people a day at that center for needs related to hot lunches, showers, laundry, medical care, those things that we all depend on every day to make our lives work that people who are homeless don't have access to. But thank you for your support in making sure that everyone has the access to those needs. I'd also like to share a success story with you. A woman in her early 60s came to her last year at the cold weather shelter. She became homeless due to the death of her spouse and mounting medical bills. She was collecting Social Security and, as such, was only able to afford 10 nights in a motel. After that, she slept on the streets. At CWS, she was able to stabilize, and eventually she came into the shelter where we were able to get her diabetes under control, and she was able to regain energy and strength. With the help of case management, she was able to find a permanent housing in a senior living facility where she'll have care. We couldn't have done this without the work that all of our community members did together through our volunteerism and our staff. This year, as you know, the Housing Opportunity Master Plan and the Path Home will be coming to you. We hope that you will support both of those initiatives because they really will make a difference in our time. In addition to the 51-bed shelter, we have the Crisis Center. And I won't go through the litany because I know you know what we do. But I want to tell you that this year we've added the stabilization unit and it's making a difference. We know that over 70% of the people we've been able to work with have been able to be connected. And that hasn't even given us a real sense of data yet because we haven't really gotten off the ground fully, which we're looking forward to kicking off very soon. But it's a multidisciplinary approach using medical care as well as social workers and peer partners to make sure that we can make a difference in lives of people and they can have immediate access to services for substance abuse needs, which is sorely missing in this county. So we are beyond excited to kick that off. And we just ask for your continued support, and thank you for everything you're already doing. And I
Thank
finished
you.
before time.
That's right. Thank you.
Next, we have Susan Garber, followed by Christopher Bernard, followed by Jennifer White.
Good evening to you all. Dr. Ball, it was wonderful to have you with us for our holiday celebration on Saturday at the Carol Baldwin Hall. And we are thankful for the county's participation in the renovation of that 97-year-old gathering place. We are also extremely thankful that in walking to the bridge lighting this year, we could feel safe and secure on the new sidewalk and the crosswalks to get us there around the circle. So thank you. Let us start by thanking you for that. But I also want to let you know that we appreciate your recognition that Savage and the Southeast area have too often been ignored, and your commitment to, quote, provide Savage some love. We say that frequently since you said it at the HCCA meeting. Once again, I've brought you the up-to-date version of Santa's wish list in the form of an Amazon list. I quickly discovered that one of the features of Amazon is they keep track of what you've ordered or what you've wished for, and indeed, you will see things that are repeats from last year because they are still important, and we hope at some point the funding will be there for them. Because I've had the opportunity to discuss a number of these items with you or your staff at length, I'm not going to go into them tonight in the interest of time. But I will start by saying our number one top priority, 7 years running, is acquisition of the Savage Mill remainder property. And we're really hoping, given this is the 7th year, that there's something magical about 7 or lucky about 7, and maybe next year when I come, I won't have to mention this one at all. So thank you for that. We're also interested in development of a national Savage Guilford Industrial Historic District. And again, we've discussed that with staff. We really want to recognize the history and the environment in our area. We ask that you put complete streets at the front of the queue for implementation in 2021. We were the first to have the planning completed, and we'd love to see the project completed. Thank you. We'd also like to request funding to keep the North Laurel Pool on the existing timetable. As I usually say, we'd like to see that pool built in my lifetime. It is particularly important for senior citizens to have that opportunity. We'd love to see funding to improve, not just study, the Route 1 corridor, and we're anxious to see what we're going to learn about that. We'd like to suggest a preliminary study to add a second floor and elevated parking at the Savage Branch Library because it's really busy. We'd love to see additional sustainable community funding and staff support to continue rehabilitation of Carol Baldwin Hall. And we'd love to have someone find some land already free of trees where we could have a Savage North Laurel community garden. In asking the community what else they would like, repaving Savage Guilford Road which we jokingly say if you were blindfolded and taken down that road by terrorists, you would know that was the road you've been on because of its distinctive humps and bumps. We would also love pathway and trail rehabilitation around our Savage Park. We'd actually like to see you give funding to DPZ to accelerate the code rewrite, and we'd love some bus shelters. Now, before I came, I put a note out to the community asking them to please come because it's important to have huge crowds here. And I got a rather terse remark, but I promised her that I would read it to you. This is an incredibly frustrating process. You know where I am at 7 p.m., helping my kids finish up their homework and brush their teeth, or sometimes I'm still at work. The idea of having to show up in person, giving up the 3 waking hours I spend with my kids each weekday in order for my voice to count, is a hard system. I have a few empty nesters with me tonight to show our enthusiasm and to ask your Office of Innovation, could we use Portal or some other means to be able to provide testimony? Something to think about. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Next, we have Christopher Bernard, followed by Jennifer White and Tanya Eikens.
Good evening, County Executive Ball. I think maybe you remember I pulled you out of the line at the parade in the Howard County Fair to let you know that we are in desperate need of an ice rink. And I promised you that I was going to make a lot of noise and I wasn't going to go away. So here I am. I brought my son with me too so he could see his pops operate a little bit. I'm a coach at Glenelg High School. We have 54 kids that participate in our ice hockey club right now. It's by far the biggest club in the state of Maryland, and we have a lot more room to grow. We have 4 teams, a varsity, 2 JV, and an all-girls team. As well as our school population growing in hockey, Marys Ridge, River Hill, Atholton, they are all growing in hockey population. And also out in our area, Glenelg Country School and Good Counsel have very large hockey programs, all kind of out in the area that we are. Currently, Howard County has 1 sheet of ice. It's pretty embarrassing, right? It's ran by Columbia Association. They don't really care much about the hockey organization that use that facility. We can't even get showers built. I mean, if you go there on an afternoon, see a teenage hockey game, kids are running through the rink in towels to take showers in other locker rooms because they don't even have bathrooms and showers in 2 of the 4 locker rooms that they have. Montgomery County has 7 sheets of ice. PG County has 6 sheets of ice. Anne Arundel County has 5 sheets of ice. Baltimore City and Baltimore County both have 2, as does Frederick, and Howard County has 1. I'm pretty sure our tax dollars would suggest that we could definitely have another facility here. Aside from the high school program, the Howard Husky organization has over 600 players in that club. Councilman Youngman set up a meeting on the 19th to discuss with myself and Bud Bonato, who's the president of that organization, the possibility of a public-private joint venture. That's how the Gardens Ice House was built in Laurel. It's on park land, but it's privately owned. I strongly suggest, and this is the best part, I'm at the budgetary committee, really not even asking for money. I'm asking for land. Western Regional Park is the prime location to build an ice rink. It's not Troy Park. Western Regional is where it needs to be. I know there's groups that are currently looking into maybe renovating an old grocery store throughout Ellicott City, or maybe looking at Troy Park at building something over there. I will be at the Howard County Rec and Park meeting on Wednesday as well, just continuing to make noise. But we could have middle school teams. Anne Arundel, PG County, or Anne Arundel and Montgomery County both have middle school programs that are playing hockey. I mean, Glenwood, Folly Quarter, a lot of these schools would grow hockey programs. I'm passionate about the game. I'm always around. The Howard County Championship game is Thursday, February 13th. I invite you to come out and drop the honorary opening puck for the face-off. Councilman Kittleman did that in the past, so I'd most certainly like to see you there supporting our community. It's a big, loving, supportive community. Ms. Hare has been very helpful in setting me up with this meeting and kind of guiding me through this process, as she is part of our hockey community as well as her brother plays for the Howard Huskies organization. We develop great young men, great young women. Glenelg participated in 2019 at the national
Could you
championships.
finish your thought?
Yep. We competed in national championships. We played the champs from California, Arizona, and Pennsylvania, and our school wouldn't even allow us to miss the days to go compete nationally and represent our school. Appreciate all your support. Look forward to getting a rink built out in Western Regional Park.
Thank you. Now, do you have a sense of about how much land you would need? If not, that's okay. I just didn't know if you did.
I will have that for Wednesday.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next, we have Jennifer White, followed by Tanya Akins and Ann Marcus.
Good evening, all. My name is Jennifer White. I'm the Senior Community Engagement Officer at the Horizon Foundation, and I would just like to echo the remarks that both Clara and Nikki provided earlier. Thank you.
I love that efficiency. So now you'll be remembered.
Next, we have Tanya Akins and Marcus, followed by Susie Paget.
Good evening, County Executive Ball, Mr. Robbins and Dr. Sun. I am Tonya Akins, President and CEO of Howard County Library System. Thank you so much for the opportunity to testify this evening on behalf of Howard County's residents who value the lifelong education provided by our library. We know that education begins at birth. Because research shows that the number of words heard by a child during the first 3 years of life can dramatically affect language development, our instructors teach classes for infants, toddlers, and their parents and caregivers mapped to common language standards. Children and their adults participate in activities that include reading aloud, storytelling, finger plays, rhymes, and songs. Parents leave our classes with tools they can use at home to stimulate and encourage their children's development. Less than half of Maryland preschoolers demonstrate readiness for kindergarten, and that number is significantly higher for children in low-income households. Equipped with this information, we are increasingly focused and intentional in our service to these children and their adults. This year, Howard County Library System created a new partnership with Community Action Council's Head Start program to provide strong supports and build language, literacy, math, and social skills for these students. HCLS instructors visit Head Start classrooms to teach classes, enrich learning by bringing developmentally appropriate books for children to use in the classroom and to take home, and by engaging parents and caregivers to support and empower them with tips and tools. Our classes focus on literacy and numerical skills, as well as emotional and social skills, all critical to the healthy development of children. We know that students who lag behind their peers in kindergarten are challenged to catch up, and that gap grows throughout their K-12 career. It is critically important that we invest in early childhood education to close the gap and prepare our young children to be ready for kindergarten, and our budget request reflects that goal. I am here as a Head Start graduate, so it's a passion point of mine. Our budget request also includes funding for our highly sought-after materials. Our per capita borrowing remains the top in the state of Maryland, including the DIY and art education collections. Popular classes, seminars, and author events for children, teens, and adults, and our dedicated team whose commitment to providing the best customer service rivals Southwest Airlines. In January, we will submit a proposed FY21 operating budget that places a high priority on early childhood education and our first-rate team. While we recognize the potential budgetary challenges you may be facing, our budget represents less than 2% of the county's overall budget, a very smart investment for an extraordinary return. Your strong investment in public education for all is a strong investment in our community and the economic success of Howard County. Again, thank you for the many ways you show your support. We are very appreciative. Happy holidays to you and your families. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your leadership and vision and making us one of the best library systems in the nation.
Next, we have Ann Marcus, followed by Susie Paget and Jonathan Edelson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, I'm Ann Marcus. I'm a trustee of Howard County Library System, and I'm currently the chair. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the system today. Our capital requests includes a number of requests for funding. First, we'd like to renovate our Glenwood branch. Specifically, the branch needs structural changes that will allow for flexible classroom space, improved study areas, a STEM classroom, renovated space for teens, and a more private area to process passport applications. We anticipate modifications to the branch to begin early 2020. During community-focused sessions, customers requested spaces for collaborative and group study areas, additional classes, and overall upgrades to the 20-year-old building. Additional funding is needed to complete the full scope of recommended renovations to meet community demand. Fully funding our request will enable that to happen. A second request we have is to include funding for a site survey and feasibility assessment for a new branch in the southwest region of Howard County, a need initially identified in our 2005 facilities assessment and master plan and affirmed in the recent update. More than 400 residents in the Maple Lawn, Fulton, and Clarksville areas were particularly supportive and eager to share their ideas through a survey and during dream sessions held this summer. In this growing region of the county, a library branch is not only desired by residents, but also essential for the vibrancy and educational needs of the community. Lastly, we request fundings for planning and design for the new downtown Columbia branch. Because development of the Meriwether district, where the new 100,000 square foot branch will be located, is proceeding quickly, time is of the essence. We're pleased to be working with the Howard County Housing Commission and Enterprise Community Development on this project, envisioned as a vital and vibrant residential community hub and anchor for the Meriwether district. The new branch will enable us to expand our curriculum to not only meet current needs, but also emerging trends related to education, business, culture, and the arts for current residents and for the additional 6,200 residents expected to fill the residential units in downtown Columbia at full build-out. As Eric Kleinenberg wrote in Palaces for the People, the future of democratic societies rests on shared values and shared spaces. As he illustrates throughout his book, public libraries are places to come together, connect, and engage. Howard County Library System demonstrates that every day. The number of people visiting our branches and attending our classes and events continue to climb. Your continued support of and investment in our library system is an investment in our community and the residents who use and value our library. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Next, we have Susie Paget, followed by Jonathan Edelson and Kevin McAlilly.
Good evening.
Good evening.
County Executive Ball, Mr. Robbins, Dr. Sun. I'm very pleased to be here to have the opportunity to advocate on behalf of the new downtown branch of the Howard County Library System. My name is Susie Paget. I've been part of the Howard County community as a real estate professional, community volunteer, and parent since 1992. I'm here to ask that you grant fully the request to fund the planning and design of the new downtown Columbia branch of the Howard County Library System. As a management professional in real estate, my office is involved annually in over 1,000 transactions in Howard County. Many of those homes are residents who use the downtown branch of the library. As the downtown area grows with the planned additional units, the needs increase. Today's buyers and renters look for easy access to important amenities like a local library with a wide variety of resources for children, young adults, families of all types and sizes, and active adults. In short, this will be the central gathering place for learning and building community. During my years as a mother with school-aged children, my son and daughter, both graduates of Head Start, my daughter, now a Howard County public school teacher, spent many hours at the library studying with friends and doing homework. As a single parent, I took advantage of the many things offered by the library and began there my engagement in the community. I have used several aspects of the library, like many, as a business person as well. Last year, during the time that the library system housed the Undesign the Red Line exhibit, the staff hosted my entire staff of realtors for a meeting and an in-depth tour. We would not have been given that important opportunity without that downtown branch. As a community volunteer, I've attended many nonprofit organizational trainings and other integral meetings vital to the success of those organizations. We would not have been able to hold those without the space at the library. We couldn't afford those, and we wouldn't have had those meetings and discussions. I also want to stress the importance of having a new state-of-the-art building. We all know the light speed at which technology moves, and Howard County Library System needs to be able to continue to innovate and update programs and resources. It's hard to do that in aging facilities. This new library will serve not just the residents, but the business people. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to enjoying the spectacular new branch.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jonathan Edelson, followed by Kevin McAlilly and Carlene Pina.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Ball, Dr. Sun, Mr. Robbins. My name is Jonathan Edelson. I'm chairman of the Oakland Mills Community Association, and I'm here tonight speaking on its behalf. I have a few different areas I'd like to cover. First, on schools and education. Oakland Mills community was dismayed to learn that the rebuild of Talbot Springs Elementary may be delayed again due to funding issues. Talbot Springs should be a top capital priority for this county. Children and teachers are exposed to mold, failing systems, inadequate classrooms, and overcrowding on a daily basis. If our county is serious about equity and providing top quality education to all children, this must be funded now. Recently, members of our Board of Education stated that the new High School 13 should not open with 45% or more of its students receiving free and reduced meals. Why then would it be acceptable to have an old school with more than half of its children receiving farms in this condition? Top quality educational environment should not be predicated upon what students are in the building. Continuing with education, the redistricting has turned some residents, about 115 elementary school children in Oakland Mills, from walkers into bus riders. Once upon a time, they went to Talbot Springs. They're currently at Stevens Forest. They'll be going to Thunder Hill. They may not be able to participate in after-school activities in Thunder Hill due to transportation issues. We're asking the county executive to consider funding a pilot activity bus for these students for evaluation to see if it's beneficial to the Oakland Mills community, and then for possible expansion to other communities where children are in similar situations. Moving on, generally for the school system needs funding beyond maintenance of effort. Because maintenance of effort is a lagging indicator, our school system, as a growing school system, is constantly behind in its budget. We need to do all we can to get ahead of this to ensure that all students have opportunities and the programs they need to succeed. Moving on to other community issues, we strongly advise you to consider hiring additional county personnel or contractors for tree removal, stump removal, and tree replacement. The emerald ash borer and other diseases or infestations are killing a lot of trees throughout the county, especially in established communities like Oakland Mills, and the county has not had the funding to keep up with this. On to transportation. Oakland Mills is uniquely positioned at the center of Columbia and between the commercial zones of downtown and the Snowden River Parkway. Many of our residents rely on alternative transportation and have only a single car or no car per household. To this point, we encourage you to continue investing heavily in alternative transportation and complete streets within our neighborhoods. By investing in our major thoroughfares and connector roads in Oakland Mills with protected bike lanes, and by working with the state to provide more accessibility on 175 and 108, our residents will be able to rely upon safely traveling Columbia without a car. In addition to that, we encourage you to continue investigating the transit way that would run from downtown out to the Snowden River Parkway corridor, as well as other alternative transportation in Oakland Mills, including examining the Columbia pathways and the bike lanes to look for where there are additional curb cuts and other enhancements needed to make biking, walking, and other alternative means of transportation more accessible in Oakland Mills. Kind of going back to the trees, we still do have a lot of trees, and those trees drop a lot of leaves. We've asked for this for several years and would encourage you again to look into the feasibility of leaf vacuums. And not just funding leaf vacuums on top of other things, but look to see what's more cost effective. Our current system of picking up leaves by stopping at each house, our system of using street sweepers, which are also also get clogged by leaves, or maybe going to some alternative that could really vacuum these leaves up. In addition to causing a lot of mess in the area, they also do cause environmental hazards as they back up storm drains. They also cause slippery conditions on the roads on nights like tonight, and even obstruct lanes in some places as they pile up in our medians. You've heard a little bit about the ice rink. We agree that one sheet of ice is not sufficient for Howard County. We would like to see the county and CA form a partnership to examine whether it would be feasible to expand the current ice rink in Oakland Mills to include another sheet of ice as well as other amenities. And finally, Blandair Park. We continue to refer to that as a gem in Oakland Mills. We would like you to consider investing economic development funds to promote the Oakland Mills Village Center within Blandair Park. Our Village Center, as you know, is very walkable or bikeable from Blandair Park, but a lot of people visiting the park don't know it's right there behind them. So if we could do something at relatively low cost, some signage or other things to promote the Village Center within the park, we feel that could help our village and our merchants very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have Kevin McAlilly, followed by Carlene Pina and Alicia Jones.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Kevin McAlilly. I'm the chair of the Wild Lake Village Board of Directors. Thank you for the opportunity to provide information regarding the 2021 county budget cycle. I am testifying particularly regarding the Wild Lake Village Board and what we are supporting in the interest of our community. It has been our pleasure to work with you, Dr. Ball, and your administration. Mr. Robbins, Dr. Sun, thank you for all you do for our community and for our county. It's also good to have you at all of our adventures and our events in Wild Lake Village. And we look forward to continued collaboration. The Wild Lake Village Board appreciates your strong support of bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure projects. The health and economic and environmental benefits to our residents is being recognized. Increased funding is requested for sidewalks, crosswalks, bus stops, and bike lanes to benefit the pedestrians, runners, bicyclists, transit riders, and drivers in our vibrant village so that they can safely reach their work and play destinations throughout Columbia and all parts of Howard County. Currently, if you are walking, running, or cycling past 10750 Little Patuxent Parkway, which, is currently owned by the county. It's the old Columbia Flyer building, and it now has the wonderful Free Bikes for Kids workshop, which is hosting their first bike distribution this Saturday. That was an unpaid announcement. You will not see identifiers on how to reach Wild Lake Village Center, nor our middle or high school. Yet, we anticipate seeing residents from the expanding downtown district and Howard Community College using the new intersection at the old Princeton Sports Building and the new county multi-use pathway system on Little Patuxent Parkway to access our amenities and schools. We want to work with you and your administration to complete this final connection of the new ADA-compliant, GPS temporarily labeled Wild Lake Middle School trail that dissects Wild Lake High School, home of the Rouse Theater and the amazing Wildcats, and the east side of the new LEED Platinum, net zero energy, solar-powered geothermal heated Wild Lake Middle School, home of the Tiger Sharks, those properties. So having those two beautiful properties side by side there and having this wonderful pathway in between, as you know, the new pathway, it abruptly ends behind the former Columbia Flyer building at its rear parking lot. A recent easement mandates any owner of the property must make the pathway accessible to pedestrians, bicyclists. The Wild Lake Village Board requests funding for wayfinding, also signage that is going to lead to the new middle school pathway from Twin Rivers Road. Twin Rivers Road, as you know, is going to be receiving a new multi-use pathway coming up that's sponsored by Howard Hughes Corporation soon. This will enhance accessibility for Columbia students to the school, provide connectivity for our residents to the new Howard Community College entrance, the new police community outreach station, and the new downtown multi-use pathway. Lastly, it will promote receptivity, renewal, and continued vibrancy at the Wild Lake Village Center. Second to last, Wild Lake residents continue to be concerned with speeding traffic on Green Mountain Circle in Bryant Woods. The Wild Lake Village Board requests adequate funding to install an automated speed sign on Green Mountain Circle, as well as for other alternatives to speed humps to slow traffic down and improve safety for the community. Lastly, the Wild Lake Village Board has worked with Lori Lilly, Executive Director of Howard Eagle Works and the READY program, to obtain a grant to assist Wild Lake townhouse and condominium homeowners associations with installing rain gardens in their neighborhoods. As a result, the Community Engagement and Restoration Grant was awarded, and stormwater management systems have been installed throughout our entire village. Later, we hosted a Soak It Up Wild Lake event to introduce our residents to the gardens and how to care and maintain them. The Wild Lake Village Board supports Howard Eagle Works' mission, the important work the organization does to support environmental initiatives in Wild Lake and throughout the county, and we urge you to continue funding the organization. Your consideration of these requests is most appreciated. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next, we have Carlene Pina, followed by Alicia Jones and Steve Walks.
Good evening, Dr. Ball. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present testimony. You know why I'm here. It's not the first time I've come to plead to you for the financing of Hammond High's renovations. This year, I'd like to add Talbot Spring to that request also. Over the years, you have heard from the community about the schools many times. You've visited the schools. You know the deficiencies. You have consistently voted in favor of funding these projects, and it is the right thing to do. I remind you, nothing has improved at these schools since your last vote to fund these projects. In fact, things continue to get worse because they're not addressed, because the renovation will take care of it. We can't wait any longer. Now, I'm sure you're wondering why I brought this tonight. Bet you think it's a bucket. It's not. At Hammond High, this is considered a sink in a science lab. Now, I'll tell you, I grew up in a very small town, poor coal town in West Virginia. Not once in my high school career did anyone ever tell me that this was a sink. But this is what my kids are being told at Hammond, in one of the wealthiest communities in the country. As a community, Howard County is a very easy sell to potential residents and businesses alike. It's a great location, nationally ranked school system, but how many people considering Howard County are going to think that this bucket is really a sink? We like to talk about wonderful, lofty ideas in Howard County, civility and equity, yet we have two schools once again on the budgetary chopping block. Two schools with much higher than the county average of students receiving free and reduced meals, and both are majority minority schools. And they have the worst facilities in the county. It is time we live up to the ideals that we profess and keep these schools on their current budget track. How can we delay until the completion of High School 13, knowing full well that the county is going to need two new elementary schools, one in the southeast and one in Turf Valley? They will simply be bumped back again. We're not asking you for equity. That would be asking for more than what other schools have. We are simply asking for equality with other school facilities. I don't want a 3-story atrium. I want academic areas large enough for our staff to actually teach. I want bathroom and entrances to the school that are ADA accessible. I want lockers that don't have vermin droppings. And I want water that doesn't have lead or Legionellas in it. I want student athletes to have safe environments to practice and to play. I want our students and staff to have an environment that isn't riddled with mold. I want everyone kept safe with security vestibule and outside doors that actually shut and lock every time they close. Right now they don't. I want these things to happen on the current budget track and not to be pushed off years from now because we've already waited way too long. And yeah, I want our science labs to have sinks, not buckets, with drains and with faucets, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Alicia Jones, followed by Steve Walks and Stephanie Reed.
Good evening.
Good evening.
County Executive Ball, Dr. Sun, Mr. Robbins, thank you for the privilege of coming before you tonight to discuss our request for the FY21 budget cycle. My name is Alicia Jones-McLeod, and I'm the Executive Director of Ellicott City Partnership. The ECP is a 501c3 organization founded in 2013, and we work to preserve the heritage and vitality of Old Ellicott City while creating and enhancing economic growth. Our constituents include property owners, businesses, residents, and visitors to Old Ellicott City, and our partners include county and state departments and agencies, as well as local nonprofits. Old Ellicott City has come far in a year. I know you guys know this, right? We've done a lot. We've worked with our county partners, our constituents, our volunteers, and we've helped to transform Old Ellicott City once again into a strong, viable, vibrant, and growing community. In this regard, ECP continues to play a critical role in Old Ellicott City and the broader Howard County. We organize and deliver a broad array of events, bringing tens of thousands of people to Old Ellicott City. Events range from Main Street Music Festival and Spring Fest, which are huge events, to local events that are loved, like Midnight Madness, Trick or Treat on Main, and Girls Night Out. We partner with a number of organizations. We also host regular business and property owner meetings to assess and address constituent needs. These are used to provide technical assistance, discussion, and speaking opportunities for subject matter experts and elected officials. Along these lines, ECP has recently launched a Business Ambassador Initiative, assigning each ECP board member several businesses, facilitating regular touch points, check-ins to address questions and concerns, and to improve data gathering and data sharing. We also manage townwide cleanups and beautification projects. ECP actively partners with entities such as Howard EcoWorks to implement various projects and collaborate with the county's historic preservation program on improvements that enhance Old Ellicott City. We have worked with BG&E and others on topics relating to stormwater management and flood safety, including web-enabled stream monitoring cameras, and the ECP will continue to highlight flood safety and emergency preparedness in 2020 and beyond in support of the county's EC Safe and Sound program. We also establish and maintain important partnerships with local, state, and national organizations, including Howard County Tourism, EDA, Howard County Chamber, Howard County Schools, Patapsco Heritage Greenway, and others. Many other businesses, community associations, and civic groups are our friends. In sum, the ECP serves as a dedicated liaison between and a force multiplier for the county and departments and agencies and ECP constituents. This valuable ECP role brings considerable economic benefit to the county. Old Ellicott City is a place of economic significance. At full capacity, it's more than 100 businesses provide a diverse mix of retail, dining, and services. Working with the county, the ECP welcomed nearly 30 businesses this year. The University of Baltimore did a study suggesting that Old Ellicott City businesses contributed $197 million in business activity to Howard County. We support nearly 1,400 jobs, earning nearly $80 million in labor income, and generated some $14 million in government revenues. ECP's efforts directly and indirectly increase jobs, labor income, tax revenues, property values, and the reputation of Howard County as one of the best places to live in the United States. Accordingly, the ECP is requesting $100,000 in funding from the county. The ECP is a lean, efficient organization that provides the county a significant return on investment. Through its all-volunteer board of directors, its single staff member, and an army of volunteers from Howard County and beyond, the ECP provides its constituents with a combined service of more than 5,000 volunteer hours annually. Volunteer hours are complemented by a mix of county funding, grants, donations, and event proceeds. This year, we also launched a new membership program, leveraged Maryland Charity Campaign Program, ran a multi-week Giving Tuesday campaign, and begun planning additional fundraising events. Such activity allows the ECP to continue to work aggressively on behalf of its constituents. Of course, Howard County funding is the bedrock upon which ECP is built. County funding would allow ECP to continue to lessen the burden on county government by providing constituents with the services noted above. Also allow the ECP to continue to innovate in its programming for a very exciting future, not least relating to the implementation of the master plan and the celebration of Ellicott City's 250th anniversary. The ECP stands devoted to Old Ellicott City and Howard County and looks forward to continuing its close working relationship with county partners. On behalf of ECP and its constituents, thank you for your time, your consideration, and your leadership. Together, we can continue to work to enrich and sustain our irreplaceable Old Ellicott City. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Steve Walks, followed by Stephanie Reed and Joan Dreesen.
Good evening. My name is Steve Wax, Howard County resident for 45 years, but I'm here representing the Patapsco Heritage Greenway. Currently I'm the new president. The Patapsco Heritage Greenway is proud of the role we play in the community and the contributions our organization has made to Howard County this past year, thanks to the $60,000 level of support provided by Howard County government in fiscal year 20. As you prepare the proposed fiscal year 21 budget, we respectfully ask that you include the same $60,000 level of funding for our organization. This amount is in keeping with the commitment we made last year to maintain at this level and not seek an increase in funding in fiscal year 21. Last year's funding enabled PHG to increase our impact in many ways over previous years to both the community and the Patapsco Valley Heritage Area, which we manage. Highlights include a 25% increase in the amount of grants received from Maryland Heritage Areas Authority, including $30,000 for $30,000 for partner organizations within the Howard County. An additional $21,000 was distributed to Howard County partnering organizations through our PHG mini grant and sponsorship programs. We're taking a more comprehensive interjurisdictional leadership role via our third annual Patapsco Summit to foster and capitalize on the need for and economic benefits of cooperative bi-county vision and action plan for the heritage area. Engaged, besides our normal stream cleanups and tree plantings, of which we're famous, we engaged the community in targeted pet waste campaign to lower bacterial impact to the watershed. Creating a greater awareness of the historic and environmental significance of the heritage area via Patapsco Days, a new multi-organizational series of community engagement lectures and programs, and greater outreach efforts to the Latinx community, which includes plans for Festival del Rio this coming summer in Patapsco Valley State Park. In addition to these successes, we continue to look forward and are currently exploring ways in which we can further benefit the community by bringing in increased vitality to our heritage tourism activities. We are exploring a formal expansion of the boundaries of the Patapsco Valley Heritage Area in both Howard and Baltimore counties to enable additional partners to participate in MHA grants as well as PHG sponsorship opportunities. We are working to develop historic and recreational connectivity themes within the heritage areas to enhance the visitor experience and help drive traffic to local businesses. We continue to engage other resources, for example, the National Park Service, Maryland Department of Natural Resources, Eco Latinos, and Howard and Baltimore County Recreation and Parks in partnerships where feasible. We are very grateful to you for your support, both financially and by your active participation in our programs. We look forward to your continued support and promise to always strive to provide Howard County a valuable return on the investment it makes in PHG.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Stephanie Reed, followed by Joan Dreesen and Mary Jane Monk.
Good evening, County Executive Ball, Dr. Sun, Mr. Robbins. My name is Stephanie Reed, and I'm a resident of Oakland Mills. Thank you for the opportunity to express my priorities for the 2021 budget. For the capital budget, I am requesting the necessary funding for the full rebuild of Talbot Springs Elementary without any further delays. Oakland Mills is one of the few areas in the county where affordable housing can be found, and the result is a concentrated pocket of poverty. Many families don't have the resources to fully advocate for the schools. The recent redistricting has done very little to balance the 50% farms rates in Oakland Mills, and Talbot Springs remains significantly over capacity. Our entire 4th and 5th grade classes learn in a large portable out back. A portion of our most engaged families have now been reassigned to other schools. We are left continuing to fight for educational equity. Shout out to Hammond High. Thank you. When my 3rd grade daughter started school this fall, she developed a cold. At first, we didn't think much of it, but after a month went by and she continued to suffer from constant congestion, we grew more concerned. I learned of the high prevalence of staff and student health problems while at Talbot Springs. I decided to file an IEQ concern. The Office of Environment conducted an inspection and found mold growth in all of the 3rd grade classrooms. A contractor was hired to clean the school for 3 days. Indoor air quality experts agree that buildings that contain visible mold or moldy odors increase the risk of health problems. The mold has been cleaned off our school before, only to be discovered again when other staff and parents complain of symptoms. I'm here to say enough is enough. Educational equity is providing all students with a safe and healthy learning environment. For the operating budget, as a dyslexia advocate, I'm requesting full funding for HCPSS to implement a comprehensive structured literacy program. Many parents, teachers, and administrators recognize the deficits in our current model. They see the children falling through the cracks, but they aren't able to pull them up. Teachers must be provided with training in science of reading. Other states and counties are leading the way and demonstrating the success of structured literacy. Howard County must ensure that all students learn how to read. Literacy is a civil right. The Honorable Elijah Cummings spoke of himself as a young boy with a learning disability. He was told he would never learn to read or write, and he should abandon his dream to become an attorney. He spent 6 years in a special education class. I've watched the interviews where he speaks of the librarians, teachers, and mentors who helped him overcome his learning disabilities. Don't all our students deserve the opportunity to realize their dreams? Wouldn't our county want to pave the way for the next Elijah Cummings? That's educational equity. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Next, we have Joan Dreesen, followed by Mary Jane Monk and Bill Withers.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Joan Dreesen. I'm here as Executive Director of the Association of Community Services and our over 160 nonprofit member organizations and community advocates who work very diligently on behalf of all of the vulnerable populations in our community. Our nonprofit sector values our very strong collaborative relationship with the county, as together we strive to meet the needs of residents. As the FY2021 budget is crafted, we hope that you will weigh the increasing needs that the nonprofit sector serves with the county's priority and revenue projections. First, I would like to offer our very sincere gratitude for your ongoing support for the Nonprofit Collaborative. Now in its 3rd year, the Collaborative continues to broaden its reach and impact in Howard County. Our 15 tenant organizations continue to build collaborations and partnerships, expand their programs as well as the number of people served, and more effectively serve residents by connecting clients with multiple needs to other service providers both within the nonprofit collaborative and on the Community Resources campus. The NPC also serves as an important resource to the broader nonprofit community and has seen a 50% increase just this year in the number of outreach meetings and programs held at the NPC by other local nonprofit organizations. ACS also applauds the county for its commitment to affordable housing. We look forward to the creation of a Housing Opportunities Master Plan that provides a clear path for expanding and preserving affordable housing that is critical to the 22% of Howard County residents with incomes less than $60,000 who struggle to make ends meet. We would like to note a few key opportunities to strengthen support for both our nonprofits and the Howard County residents we serve. We appreciate the careful review of the Community Service Partnership Grant Program and are confident that it will result in a process that better serves our community. While level CSP funding for FY21 will provide stability to grant recipients as the CSP process is being revised, it will not account for the increasing cost of doing business, nor allow our nonprofit service providers to respond to increasing needs within our community. We urge you to consider funding that accounts for these. We congratulate the Department of Community Resources and Services for its dedication to serving the homeless and its release of the updated plan to end homelessness, The Path Home. Adequate funding of this plan will be critical to making this vision and priority for the county a reality. Finally, we strongly support increased funding for building and improving sidewalks, crosswalks, and other projects that will improve safety and connectivity for our residents. We encourage you to prioritize communities that use the Vulnerable Population Index to identify the spaces where the need for these are greatest, such as Guilford, Elkridge, Savage, and Jessup. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Next, we have Mary Jane Monk, followed by Bill Withers and Grace Kubofchik.
Good evening. Hi, Dr. Ball.
Hey.
My name is Mary Jane Monk, and I am a semi-retired teacher in the Howard County Public School System, currently assigned to Talbot Springs Elementary School, where I have worked for the past 26 years. I first want to thank you, Dr. Ball, for your recent letter to the Board of Education, in which you offered your support for replacement school for Talbot Springs, as well as the needed renovations and additions to Hammond High School. We stand together on these issues. I don't want to beat a dead horse by reiterating all the physical plant issues that you've already heard about concerning mold, and now this mice issue, insufficient space, HVAC, all those kinds of things. But I want to address two other things, kind of some little small things that you might not realize have such a great impact on students and staff, and then another one addressing the anxiety of staff members. There's some unease regarding health issues and reporting of those health issues. In the past, we've heard that people have been reassigned to other schools because of reporting health issues in a school. And people don't want to be reassigned. They want to stay in Talbot Springs. They love the school. They want to remain with the student community. And also, there are health insurance issues. This could be a pre-existing condition. Are these workers' comp issues? Do they use their personal insurance for this? This is very complicated and leaves people very uneasy. I don't think we want our staff to be worried about this. They have plenty to worry about and be concerned about, like implementing with fidelity the curriculum and programs that are mandated by the state and county. So that's our staff. So here are two issues that I heard about this week or last week at school. One concerns our kindergarten classrooms. Kindergarten classes are now being taught in primary classrooms. So they lack the space that they need to enable students to work and play to develop those important emotional and social skills, so important at this time. The bathrooms are not easily accessible. Now they have to go out into the hall, they're unsupervised, it can be frightening, especially at the beginning of the year with these really young students. And it's difficult for the teachers. They don't have the support to follow students out into the hallway every time they want to use the bathroom. There's no space for the new materials that have just come in this year for kindergarten. They can't close the doors. They don't even have their own light switches. So if there's no place to hide in case of a lockdown. They can't close the doors, and the light switches, the way they were set up originally, they can't turn off their own lights in their own rooms. It's kind of crazy. Also, due to over capacity. We have 50 or more students at a time in our gym. We have 2 PE teachers, and they're teaching the classes at the same time. If those classes were, if they were teaching the same skills at the same time, it would be difficult enough, but they're not always doing that. We even have classes transitioning in the middle of, one class starting in 15 minutes or 30 minutes later, another class transitioning in. So they were hoping that with the new building, there would be a gym that would allow for a way to partition that off and have those separate spaces. So these are just 2 things, but there are deficiencies everywhere in the school. I just wanted to point them out because we talk about the mold and we talk about those other things all the time. Thank you again for your stated support, and I'm really looking forward to the full funding of Talbot Springs and Hammond High and the difference it's going to make in our communities. Thanks.
Thank you. And also, thank you for referencing my letter. I have committed sufficient funding should the Board of Education and school system prioritize Talbot and Hammond as first and second priority. They should have sufficient funding. Thank you.
Next, we have Bill Withers, followed by Grace Kabofsik and Christopher Shen.
Hi.
How are you, my friend?
Doing well. My name is Bill Withers. I'm testifying tonight in my role as the board co-chair for Howard EcoWorks. Lori's on her way down to the National Academy's Resilient Americas meeting. I think you know about that. I'm always in awe of everyone's stamina at these things. I'd like to start by thanking you for the Green Community Leadership Award that we received from you in the Department of Public Works. We're also, of course, very grateful for the financial support and the stability that lends the organization. And as I've said before, the fact that you're the green executive and regularly take a visionary stand when it comes to the environment, it just opens doors for us as we do our work. So even over and above, I don't know about over and above, but comparable really to the financial support is that leadership, and we appreciate it. So quickly, some 2019 accomplishments. We also received a BUBBA Award, which is the Best Urban BMP in the Bay Award for the Ellicott City Soak It Up campaign from the Chesapeake Stormwater Network. We leveraged our county funding to receive revenue from multiple other sources, including the Chesapeake Bay Trust, the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, Patagonia, homeowner associations, faith-based institutions, and individual donors. In fact, your support and vision, the hard work of Lori and the staff and the board have allowed the relatively young organization that we are to build a strong foundation for growth. Today, we made our final tweaks on our first strategic plan, which will take us through 2022. And we're refreshing branding. We launched a business sponsorship program. Under your safe and sound plan for Ellicott City, we've removed 5 tons of debris and bulk trash.
10.
10. All right. We've removed 10 tons of debris and bulk trash. Constructed 19, is that right? Stormwater remediation and habitat enhancement projects. We've treated over 67,000 acres of land, or square feet of land, sorry. Kicked off the Tree Ho-Co campaign, and so far we're at 160 trees. We've planted 6,400 native plants, maintained 80 acres of Howard County stream restoration project sites and other public open space. And we began a research project with the University of Delaware to assess the effectiveness of biochar. Those are just the environmental highlights. As you know, another pillar is really the workforce development work that we do as well. 22 participants in our workforce programs provided 16 individuals with Chesapeake Bay Landscaping Professional Associate certificates, trained and provided 10 Howard County Department of Corrections inmates with Landscape for Life certificates, supported our first Seeds of Change internship in partnership with the Department of Corrections. And we had a new program called Alternative Spring Break with 198 hours of service committed by young adult volunteers. We continue to spread the word in Ellicott City. We had 2 Soak It Up community engagement, education, and outreach events. We partnered with 5 various HOAs and other institutions. We reached more than 2,000 Howard County residents with messaging and demonstration on stormwater stewardship and natural resource protection. So looking ahead with our new strategic plan, enhancing, restoring, and protecting ecosystems on 125 acres of land, doubling the workforce opportunities, and building on your support by aggressively seeking business sponsorships throughout the county. We plan to restore 3.9 acres of land. We're partnering with the Interfaith Partners of the Chesapeake to develop rain gardens at various congregations. We will be planting 400 trees and an additional 8,200 native plants. The biochar project will be completed by then. We're continuing internships and certifications for the Department of Corrections. I'm going to skip all the numbers because you probably have them. And of course, we're expanding the Soak It Up partnerships into other county communities. So we started with Ellicott City. We're right now talking with Long Reach and Savage. Our $500,000 of county funds were a big part of this crucial year. New expense in the coming year will include building a new database to track all reporting data necessary for MS4 reporting and for determining accurate ROIs for you and for our other funders. We're also raising participants' wages to stay well ahead of increasing minimum wage rules and to continue to attract great youth. So our ask this year will ask for an additional $50,000. I know that you will give this request careful consideration. And of course, we welcome any further conversations as you go through the process that will help us to clarify the contribution.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I just want to personally thank your organization. As a council member, I asked for 3 things in addition to everything that you were doing. ROI, more data, so I understood exactly where you were and what you were doing, and a thoughtful strategic plan moving forward. And you've delivered on those 3 things, and I just want to thank you.
Absolutely, and thank you for the wake-up that got it done. I appreciate it.
Next, we have Grace Kabosic, followed by Christopher Shen and Lori Ressler.
Good evening, County Executive Ball. If you've been here 15 years, I think I've been here 25.
Yes, you got me beat.
I just was struck by that comment that you made. So, in your wonderful first year, congratulations. Everyone who asked you for something tonight is fully deserving, okay? So I know all the decisions are going to be very difficult. So Dr. Sun, I don't envy you your job. Mr. Robbins, I've worked with you. I don't envy you yours. County Executive Ball, the final decision will be yours, and I know it will be a good one. So, I've retired from a few things, but I agreed to do one thing that has a short life. And will be less than 2 years, okay? But in 2022, we will celebrate 250 years in Ellicott City. So I'm speaking here tonight on behalf of 250 Ellicott City. We are a small board of 7 people. In the interest of speed, okay, 2 people have given me written comments, so that's 2 less that have to come up. What is our request? Our request is for $45,000. Our hope is to use that during the year to hire an executive director, but more importantly, to put together marketing materials, fundraising efforts, because we are going to have a huge celebration in 2022. I just realized it's also an election year, so I know we'll have a lot of visitors to Ellicott City. But it is a special place. You know that. I thank you and your staff for your enthusiasm and your support for our organization already. The letters that I am submitting are from both Ed Lilly, who is the chair of our board, and also from Senator Jim Roby, who is chair of our advisory committee. Having said that, that's the end of 250, but that's extremely important. I live in a community that asked last year very emotionally for support related to water issues. We've had the opportunity during the year to have one community meeting to have some consultants. A number of individuals could not be here tonight to testify, so in order to save some time, I'm submitting the testimony of one of those individuals who has written to you, and I've urged others to put that in written comments to you all. We need funding for Garrion Orchard, and we need it this coming year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Christopher Shen, followed by Lori Ressler and Karen Carter.
Good evening, excuse me, good evening, Mr. County Executive, Dr. Sung, Mr. Robbins. I am Christopher Chen. I am here on behalf of Bicycling Advocates of Howard County. I will not be as brief as Jennifer White. That's impossible.
We know.
I will try to be brief, however, because I will hearken back to 1 week ago when you had a transportation forum. And I'll take it as a promise when you said that there will be $40 million worth of bike projects in the next 3 years. And by 2026, there will be 95 miles of Bike Howard built out. I take that as a promise. We will hold you to that.
Or a goal. And
well,
we're very aspirational in Howard County.
Goals require funding.
Yes.
We have funding in a very nice spreadsheet that the Office of Transportation provided us. Through 2021, we want to see further identification of funding for the years coming forward, because I think it has been a wonderful collaborative process that we have had with the Office of Transportation and your administration generally. Allow me to conclude with 2 other points. One on the eco side. We are hoping that your administration will do something similar to what you did on the Forest Conservation Act for complete streets, which is to enact laws strengthening the variance and alternative compliance regulations, similar to what you have done in the forest conservation area. Apply it throughout the zoning process in generally, but most especially to complete streets. And finally, free bikes for kids. We'll be giving away over 500, I think it is, bicycles this Saturday. We hope you will be there for at least part of that ceremony.
You know it.
Kids. We'll look forward to seeing you there and ask that you think, where will those kids ride those bikes? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chan.
Next, we have Lori Ressler, followed by Karen Carter and Natalie Donor.
Good evening, County Executive Ball, Dr. Sun, Mr. Robbins. My name is Laurie Ressler, and I am the full-time media specialist at Talbot Springs Elementary School. Tonight, I am speaking on behalf of HCEA. I'm also a 32-year resident of Howard County, and I currently live in Dr. Jones's district. I want to start by expressing my gratitude to you, Dr. Ball. You visited the very first class I taught on my very first day as media specialist at Talbot Springs 5 years ago, and I had the pleasure of teaching your youngest daughter as well.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for affirming our county's priority to renovate or replace the aging and ill buildings in our school system, in particular Talbot Springs Elementary and Hammond High School. This is not my first time testifying here. I came before the council in the spring of 2018, and I want to remind you of why I was here then and the conditions we continue to face at Talbot Springs. It's not a dead horse when we're going in there every day. The building is infested with mice. Feeding breakfast to all of our students is essential. However, the hantavirus carried by the mice feces that can be found on student desks and workspaces around our classrooms is potentially deadly. We continue to have issues with mold. Last month, it was discovered again in our cabinets, and despite remediation efforts by the county, our staff is now struggling with upper respiratory ailments, sinus infections, coughs, nosebleeds, earaches. I have several students who are clearly showing upper respiratory symptoms, some even coughing up phlegm in their seats. Even parents begin sneezing within moments of entering our building. Yes, we are in cold and flu season, definitely, but I've been an educator for 13 years. I've been a mom for 24, and I can tell the difference between a child who is really sick and a child who has allergies. A third of our population is housed in multi-classroom portable, we euphemistically call our learning villa, due to our over 130% capacity. The transitions each day equate to hours of year-long lost instruction, and it's a constant security worry. The lock on our villa entrance is unreliable. And even with recent redistricting, our population is forecast to be reduced by only a handful of students. The failed open space concept from the 1970s lingers on in our school. The distractions caused by the noise levels due to the lack of proper walls and doors make it difficult for many students to attend to instruction. In 2018, there was a complete plan to rebuild Talbot Springs that would accommodate our expanding population, but the state decided not to pay for it. We went through the full consultation and planning process a second time. Things were proceeding until we returned to school this September, when we learned that the school system had placed High School 13 ahead of our rebuild and Hammond High's renovation and expansion, effectively pushing the start of this construction far off into the easily pushed off yet again future. What is happening at Talbot Springs is one piece of a much larger problem of neglect of our buildings. We want the county to understand that the physical environment of our buildings is exactly the kind of equity issue that we know the county cares about so much. For example, Hammond High cannot offer the same student activities as other high schools due to lack of space. Their parents cannot get in touch with staff when rain interferes with the phone lines. I can only imagine the fun that they had over there today. Elkridge Landing Middle School needs 3 portables, a sensory room, and a sanitary bathroom with a changing table for their ALS student needs. Even with the redistricting supposedly easing overcrowding, Clemens Crossing Elementary School will need 3 new portables next year. And finally, mold and air issues have been reported in Harper's Choice Middle, Reservoir High, Clarksville Middle, Mount View Middle, Glen Elg High, Wild Lake Middle, West Friendship Elementary, Long Reach High, Mount Hebron High, and Old Cedar Lane, and this was just in the past month. These issues may be related to continued HVAC issues or repairs needed due to leaks. We serve our youngest and most vulnerable members of Howard County, and many of the buildings in which we serve them are sick and unsafe. I have never worked with a more dedicated or hardworking staff than my Talbot Springs family. They and our kids, like yours that attended Talbot Springs, deserve to work in healthy facilities. We know you believe this as well because you've stated you are supporting educators and fostering the best teaching and learning environment. Thank you for recognizing this. Thank you for acting to do the right thing. Please keep the immediate renovation and rebuild for Talbot Springs and Hammond alive, while also addressing the deferred maintenance issues we face daily. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Karen Carter, followed by Natalie Donor and Barry Mehta.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Karen Carter. I represent the Dorsey Hall Deer Management Task Force, which was formed in 2015 to advocate for solutions to decrease the overpopulation of deer in Howard County. It is clearly evident that over the past 25 years, deer densities rose dramatically. While densities above 12 to 15 deer per square mile cause significant damage, densities in Howard County have risen to over 60 deer per square mile. This population growth has led to the following problems: a danger to public health and public safety, with Howard County having the second highest number of cases of Lyme disease and automobile collisions with deer in Maryland. Significant damage to our environment with an elimination of native plant species and ground cover, leading to an overgrowth of invasive species, erosion and deforestation, the eventual spread of chronic wasting disease among deer, and the destruction to crops on our local farms and in our gardens. Our task force met on December 3rd with individuals working on the problem at the county and state levels. Those present at the meeting were representatives for Council Member Liz Walsh, Delegate Eric Ebersol, Delegate Courtney Watson, and Senator Katie Fry Hester, representatives for Elizabeth Walsh and Maureen Arthurs, and the following county government employees: Ralph Delarme, Brenda Belensky, Dan McNamara, Kevin Vest, David Keene, and John Marshall. This collaboration would not have been possible without the willingness of these exceptionally competent and committed individuals to meet with our task force to form a partnership in order to formulate a constructive and effective plan of action for this complex problem. As a result of this productive meeting, the participants agreed to ask you, County Executive Ball, to support state-enabling legislation to allow the county to handle the deer problem at the local level. In addition, we are requesting funding to hire more natural resources managers, to conduct surveys, to purchase more supplies and equipment, and to pay for the overtime hours that are required for activities such as scheduled sharpshooting events on the 13 properties in Howard County. Thank you, County Executive Ball, for listening to our testimony and for considering our need for vital funding to pay for the work required to reverse the deer overpopulation crisis in Howard County.
Thank you. I just want to note that my team has briefed me and is very appreciative of all the work that you've been doing, and many of those elected officials have also continued to advocate. In fact, I was just at Midnight Madness, and Delegate Courtney Watson brought it up again. So thank you so much, and everybody's working very hard to move this forward.
And I see that. It's very obvious, and I have 2 other task force members here to support me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Natalie Donor, followed by Barry Mehta and Mark Steinberg.
Good evening. My name is Natalie Donor, and I am representing Project Search and the ARC of Howard County. Project Search is a work readiness program for youth with disabilities in their last year of high school as they prepare to enter the workforce. Through this partnership with the Howard County government, we are able to host internships in several county departments. Because of Project Search, young adults are gaining competitive, marketable, and transferable skills that we believe will help them find and maintain a job that matches their interests and skill sets. According to the Employer Assistance and Resource Network on Disability Inclusion, many businesses find internships to be an effective personnel strategy because they offer a way to both fill anticipated short-term staffing needs and evaluate potential staff for permanent positions in the future, especially those who may be new to the workforce. I am here tonight advocating that contingent positions be added to the budget so that more people with disabilities have access to competitive job opportunities within the Howard County government. Simply put, budgets are a list of priorities. I see opportunity for people with disabilities to be priorities reflected in several areas of the county executive's budget. Dr. Ball, in your budget's mission, you list thriving and healthy residents as a priority area. You mentioned supporting our community's vulnerable populations with improved services, such as healthcare and housing. I would add that meaningful employment opportunities are essential to being a thriving and healthy resident of Howard County. It is our responsibility as a model county in Maryland to create and provide those opportunities to people of all abilities. Another priority area in the budget is for strong and prosperous businesses. People with disabilities are twice as likely to be unemployed when compared with the general population, according to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The rate is around 9% compared to 4% respectively. That number only reflects the number of people actively seeking jobs, not those who have stopped looking for work or work part-time. The more troubling statistic is that relative progress for those who want to work compared to those who are finding work has stalled when compared to the gains among people without disabilities. When people with disabilities are given the opportunity to work, companies across the United States who have hired people with disabilities are outperforming others. Businesses report increased productivity from their employees as well as an increase in revenue and net income. Hiring people with disabilities is not charity work. It is a good business decision. The ARC of Howard County supports over 100 people with disabilities working at approximately 70 businesses in the community with a 96% retention rate. My job is not to be the voice of people with disabilities. However, it is my job to amplify the voices of the people that I support and advocate for them. Tonight, I am also advocating for a young man with several automotive certifications who is working towards becoming an auto mechanic. His dream is to work at one of Central Fleet's automotive shops. Currently, there are not
Can you
contingent...
finish your last final thought?
Oh, sure. There are not contingent positions in the budget across departments to make this happen. These contingent positions are a critical starting point for people with disabilities in the Howard County government. In the past, we have had success in people being hired into contingent positions who are now working part-time and full-time for the county. We would like for this to continue on an upward trend. The ARC of Howard County strongly encourages you to add these positions for people with disabilities to the budget for the upcoming fiscal year and continue to make opportunity available in future budget cycles for people of all abilities to contribute to your vision for Howard County. People with disabilities want a lifelong career, just like you and I. Contingency is a great first step, but we are aiming for longevity and sustainability. Thank you for your continued support of people with disabilities seeking meaningful employment.
Thank you, and thank you for actually reading my budget, too.
Next, we have Barry Mehta, followed by Mark Steinberg and Becky McKirahan.
Good evening. My name is Barry Mehta, and I've been a Howard resident for almost 40 years as a real estate investor and land developer. After seeing and hearing about the first Main Street flooding, what I heard that it was a result of some bad developers overdeveloping, I decided that I wanted to learn about stormwater management. And at that time, I found this program called WSA, Watershed Stewards Academy. And that program, run by Dr. Georgia Ecker and Terry Matthews, is an excellent program. I joined that 2 years back and learned the importance of how each one of us can contribute to the quality of water in our waterways to improve the quality so that our most valuable resource, the Chesapeake Bay, can be a healthy water body. So after 2 years of training there, I graduated earlier this year. And from my personal experience, I highly recommend that you all please continue supporting this program as you have done in the past. I do have one more cause that I'd like to speak for a minute. My wife and I joined the East Columbia Senior Center for many years when we lived in the Oakland Mills Village, around the corner from you, Dr. Ball. 3 years back, we moved to Ellicott City near Elkridge and have thoroughly enjoyed the brand new senior center in Elkridge. And just comparing the two senior centers, there is no comparison. So I would like to request that you do provide some funding for the East Columbia Senior Center. Thank you.
Thank you.
As we reach our halfway mark, I just want to remind everyone to please be cognizant of your time and please stick to the time that has been allotted for you. Next, we have Mark Steinberg, followed by Becky McKirahan and Bertrand Allen III.
Good evening, County Executive Ball, Mr. Robbins, Dr. Sun. As you tell from my shirt, I'm another Hammond parent here to urge full support for the renovation and expansion of Hammond High School. And I very much appreciate Dr. Ball's letter to the Board of Education. I'm not going to repeat the points that have been made already. I did submit testimony online. I'm a parent of a 9th grader. It's our first year at Hammond. We have another child who's a future Hammond student. And the one point I did want to make is it's a wonderful school. It's a welcoming environment. It's extraordinarily diverse, but there's no question that the faculty and staff are laboring under very difficult circumstances. And I think it also comes across, the students are well aware of that. I mean, my daughter, I'll mention one thing, she has gotten very much involved in the theater program. She loves it. And there's no question the auditorium is just not up to the standards that you'd expect in Howard County. I mean, you have to turn off the HVA system in order to hear the performers. So you can either have a comfortable auditorium temperature-wise that you can't hear the people, or you can try to hear the folks, and then you have to dress in layers to see your children perform. And I know that we can do better on that. And the other point I'd want to make is that it sends a message to the students. They go to other schools, they see what other schools around the county look like and what the facilities are. And they know that their school has not been treated fairly in the past really 10 years. I know this predates all of your administrations, but this is the time to get it right. So we really appreciate your support and hope to see both Talbot Springs and Hammond High's renovations funded fully this year. Thank you.
Thank you, as do I.
Next, we have Becky McCarahan, followed by Bertrand Allen III and Pat Hersey.
Good evening, Dr. Ball, Dr. Sun, Mr. Robbins. I'm Becky McCarahan at Jessup, Maryland. And as requested, I'm not repeating everything I've said for the last 2 years. This is not Groundhog Day, the movie. And even when there's not a seat in the room for us to be, we are watching. I am here from Why Not Jessup about High School 13. I'm also here about Hammond and Talbot. And unfortunately, the three have been pitted against each other lately, and it's kind of sad to me. My daughter goes to Hammond. I'm a proud Hammond bear. So they're two unrelated. Hammond and Talbot are community. High School 13 is county-wide. So we're working hard. Thank you very much for your letter and for your continued support of all of them. And as my daughter said, I'm the pop-up ad that is just going to keep popping up and being here until we get that shovel in the ground. So thank you.
Thank you. And please note, I agree, they shouldn't be pitted against each other. I think that all three can move forward, and we just have to make sure that they're a priority.
Yes, thank you.
Next, we have Bertrand Allen III, followed by Pat Hersey and Kiara Diamore.
Good evening.
Good
evening, Dr. Ball, Mr. Robbins, and Dr. Sutton. My name is Bertrand Allen. I'm a resident of Columbia since about 1969. Since about '06, though, my neighbors and I have experienced excessive stormwater runoff traversing our properties on Watch Chain Way and also Stem Winder Court. We've been in contact with the county. They've come out and taken a look. We provided them with photographs, with video showing excessive water saturation in the backyards to the point where one tree is actually have to come down very soon. It's been waterlogged. We've also had several meetings with one of the engineers from Howard County. He's come out and taken a look. What we're asking for is really, he indicated there isn't money or a budget right now in this fiscal year to actually conduct a study to take a look at the problem. It's been getting excessively worse over the years, and we feel like there should be some type of solution to correct it. We don't know whether it's saturation from the runoff from the stormwater system. Is it capacity at this point in time? We really don't understand what the problem is, but it's gotten excessively worse over time. So our ask is really just to put in money for a budget for some type of study in 2021 to take a look at the problem and see what's going on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Pat Hersey, followed by Kiara Diamore and Buffy Illum. Is Pat still with us? Okay. Next, we have Kiara Diamore, followed by Buffy Illum.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Kiara Diamore. I live in Columbia, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Community Ecology Institute. CEI is a Howard County-based nonprofit organization with a mission to create socially and ecologically healthy communities by fostering meaningful connections between people and nature. CEI's work is uniquely focused on tangible, community-level change at the intersection of environment, education, and health. Based on our history of providing impactful, nature-based educational programming to the community, this year we were given the opportunity to purchase the last farm in Columbia at a fraction of the development market cost, provided that we commit to keeping it in agriculture and protect it from development. With the support of the Howard County government, this summer we were able to purchase this 6.4-acre urban organic farm, making it an undevelopable community resource adjacent to Appleton High School, the Harriet Tubman School, and the Grassroots Crisis Intervention Center. We are here this evening to request the county's support during this time of tremendous organizational growth. We are working diligently to transform the farm into a place where county residents can learn through hands-on experience about how they can lead happier, healthier, more connected, and sustainable lives. Our priority areas of need are in operational budget support and capital support to renovate the barn structure into an education center. CEI's experiential education programming has been serving the county for 6 years and has earned us a County Green Leader Community Award. Thank you. In October, I became our first salaried employee. I now serve in a half-time capacity. It is a priority for 2020 for CEI to hire an additional staff person that manages volunteer coordination, marketing and outreach, and provides other support functions to help CEI implement our strategic plan and grow our community programming. Currently, we do not have the ability to bring the public into any indoor space. We are using porta potties and temporary canopies. This severely limits CEI's ability to grow the educational programming we can offer the community. Our ability to maximize benefits for the community requires the renovation of the 4,000 square foot timber-framed, sustainably designed, barn-like building that the previous owner constructed in 2019 but wasn't able to finish. The building will support an exciting range of mission-driven educational programs. For example, nature-based mental and physical health programming that is designed in collaboration with other county nonprofits. We are already working with HopeWorks and Howard County Autism Society. Environmental sustainability and climate action demonstration spaces and programming that supports the county's commitment to the We Are Still in Agreement, the U.S. Climate Alliance's Natural Working Lands Challenge, and Bee City USA. And a Know Your Roots field trip program that we are developing for public school children to teach them about the important social and ecological history of the area and how we can support both social and ecological equity and diversity in our community. Community-based ecology centers like we are creating on the farm have the power to transform communities, restoring the environment, bringing people together with a sense of hope and purpose for the future, and building resilience. We are committed to stewarding this farm to the maximum benefit of the community. In just 5 months, we've donated over 350 pounds of produce to the Grassroots Crisis Intervention Center kitchen, planted more than 125 trees on the farm, mostly native, which include a food forest, and engaged more than 100 volunteers, which includes a team of high school students that are focused on inter-high school, interfaith climate action as their personal priorities. Together with them, we have planted the second Climate Victory Garden in the state of Maryland. On behalf of CEI and the community people that have and will benefit from our innovative integrated programming, I respectfully request that you consider supporting CEI in the 2021 budget. Our work in the community is in direct alignment with the county's priorities of having thriving and healthy residents and a clean and sustainable environment. I want to thank you, the people who are here with us tonight in support of our efforts. And thank you very much for your support.
Thank you.
If they could stand up real quick. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Next, we have Buffy Ilum, followed by Carla Gates and Hirwe Hadgu. Okay. Next, we have Carla Gates.
Good evening, County Executive Ball, Dr. Sun, Mr. Robbins. My name is Carla Gates, and I am testifying today as a Howard County resident who is also Congregational President of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Columbia, Maryland. Our board unanimously agreed for me to speak on the congregation's behalf in favor of the creation of a Chief Equity Officer or Racial Equity Program Manager. Many Unitarian Universalists believe in the inherent worth and dignity of each person. That's our first principle. However, we UUs, or Unitarian Universalists, are also learning that we must also believe in and act to express the equal inherent worth and dignity of each person as expressed in our second principle, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Our congregation and our denomination are in the process of living more fully into our 7 principles, as some within our denomination have affirmed an 8th principle, which is to accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. Ours, maybe the county. One cannot accountably dismantle racism in one's institutions without addressing racial inequity. So, it is with these principles in mind that I and our congregation is testifying in favor of the Chief Equity Officer tonight. Racist ideas and the racist practice of enslaving African people were principal themes in America's early democracy. Unfortunately, many of those ideas led to racial discrimination in hiring practices, housing, education, access to the ballot box, and access to the power to lead one's community. Fortunately for us, however, Jim Rouse, as he was creating Columbia, understood that while racist ideas had to be fought, he also needed to fight racist policies with anti-racist actions of ensuring equal access to education, goods, services, jobs, housing, and equal voting rights. Friends, it is time to bring Jim Rouse's anti-racist actions back. It is time to implement deliberately anti-racist policies by creating a Chief Equity Officer position as proposed by Councilwoman Christiana Rigby. The Chief Equity Officer might educate people about anti-racist ideas and ensure the implementation of equitable anti-racist policies by implementing some of the following programs: racial equity training for all county staff, helping community members understand how to keep racial equity in mind when having community discussions, racial equity audits of existing policies and legislation, development of new policies and programs with a racial equity lens. In closing, I would like to remind everyone that ensuring equity is justice. And as Cornel West says, justice is what love looks like in public. Let us be brave and ensure equity. Let us pursue justice. Let us love. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Hiraway Hadgu, followed by Aaron Parker and Ashley Woodward.
Good evening, everybody. Mr. County Executive, a 2019 report funded by the county's taxpayer and conducted by Urban Analytics concluded that new residential development not only pays its own way, it also subsidizes existing residential units in the county. A similar conclusion was reached in 2005 when developers commissioned a similar study. That conclusion was wrong, and it is wrong now. But it highlights the operating basis upon which the county's budget is planned. The fundamentally flawed assumption that more residential development would lead to net revenue combined with zoning and land use laws that favor wealthy special interest developers have led to the existing and persistent fiscal crisis. If we are to recover from this self-inflicted mess, a course correction by the county is needed. The county needs to stop paying consultants to prepare biased attacks against the county's adequate public facilities ordinance. It is not clear why Urban Analytics report that sought to undermine the 2018 APFO law was published in 2019, even though the new APFO school capacity standards barely had time to take effect. I encourage the county's administration to work to strengthen other aspects of the ordinance that are tied to our quality of life, such as roads, hospital capacity, and public safety. Another area of concern are fees in lieu that for decades have allowed developers to pay fees in exchange for not providing affordable housing, stormwater mitigation, cutting trees, and so forth. This practice is egregious, not just because it helps developers evade zoning and land use laws, but also because the fees do not reflect true costs. This year alone, the county has approved multiple fees in lieu. For example, the fee in lieu that allows developers to destroy trees in exchange for a fee does not take into account the price of carbon. The new fee is $1.25 per square foot within the planned service area, while it should be north of $3 per square foot. Recent talks of raising transfer taxes are also troubling because the county has not demonstrated to be a steward to taxpayer dollars as evidenced by the actions thus far. Providing taxpayer-funded developer subsidies such as tax increment financing or developer rights and responsibilities agreements without the developer responsibilities County department actions and proposals lacking fiscal impact reports and county's underlying posture toward residential development as a net source of revenue are all examples of lack of fiscal stewardship that need to be addressed before more money is asked from the taxpayer. I urge the county administration to work toward effecting these course corrections in order to help the budget to recover in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Aaron Parker, followed by Ashley Woodward and Elisa Neifeld-Badiz. Okay, no Aaron. Oh, she's coming? Oh, I couldn't see you.
I was in the back. Good evening. My name is Erin Parker. I spoke with you last year about my 9-year-old son who's dyslexic during your listening tour. My only option was to pull him out of public school and send him to a specialized school for dyslexic children at a cost of $35,000 a year. Howard County simply does not have the right programs in place to address reading problems. According to last year's MCAP scores for English, 53% of 7th graders and 48% of 10th graders in Maryland are not meeting expectations in reading. Yet 88% of students are graduating. This means we are graduating lots of students who simply cannot read. These statistics are much worse for students with disabilities and minority students. Research shows that 1 in 5 students are dyslexic. Close to 50% of the prison population is dyslexic. These statistics are unacceptable. We want systemic change based on the science of reading, and we want it to start now. Howard County uses balanced literacy to teach reading. Simply put, this methodology is not working for our children. We need funding to retrain our teachers based on scientific research on how children's brains acquire the written language. An organized group of parents have worked with the central office through dyslexia work groups and have shared this research. Approximately 20 years ago, the federal government commissioned the National Reading Panel to establish the best methods for teaching reading. Howard County has not yet implemented those methods, commonly referred to as Orton-Gillingham or structured literacy. 3 years ago, the Maryland legislature commissioned the Dyslexia Task Force, which endorsed structured literacy for all students, especially those with dyslexia. Yet Howard County has not adopted structured literacy. Structured literacy is a methodology that explicitly teaches children the rules of the English language and builds the foundational skills for decoding words based on the science of reading. It is particularly beneficial for students with dyslexia. Our teachers have not been provided with adequate professional development training in the science of reading, or have been trained to provide instruction or interventions that will help struggling readers to succeed. Based on our current levels of funding, elementary school teachers are provided with 2 days of curriculum training throughout the year, and some support from reading support teachers if their school has that resource. To be very frank, we can't expect teachers to change their entire method of teaching reading with so little time for training and without resources. Over the past year or so, Baltimore County has trained 700 teachers in structured literacy, and they have each been provided with 60 hours of training. Systemic change takes money, but a short-term investment in resources will lead to a long-term reduction in the expense of special education, the achievement gap, and mental health disorders, especially anxiety and depression, which goes from undiagnosed reading disabilities. It takes a substantial commitment of funding to change a system from the inside out. We ask, as this budget season kicks off, that you make reading your top priority for education and allocate sufficient funding for teacher professional development in the science of reading and structured literacy. I thank you very much for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. And if you can let our team know a little bit more detail about where your talks with the school system was and exactly, like you talked about, professional development and where in the areas, the line items that would be most impactful, that'd be helpful.
I have a meeting coming up with central office, and I'm happy to
Excellent.
provide that information to you. That is one thing which we agree with central office is professional development training, and that's where the funding needs to go. We're in total agreement.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ashley Woodward, followed by Alyssa Neifeld-Badiz and Stephanie Carr.
Good evening.
It's a lot emptier in here now. Appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Ashley Woodward, and I live in Elkridge. I'm here tonight to give testimony for the Community Ecology Institute. I was personally introduced to CEI 2 years ago and instantly connected to the mission of creating a world where people and nature thrive together, and the 4 C's that drive that mission, which are connection to nature, climate action, community health, and civic ecology. In that 2 years' time, this organization has given 6,642 hours of their time, hosted 98 nature-based events, and reached 1,077 families from across Maryland. I've had the privilege of both leading and attending many of those events and serving on the board of directors, which I currently serve as president. CEI's representatives and community of families have always been welcoming with open minds and open hearts. There is something to be said about connecting with others as you get your hands dirty planting trees in rain gardens, hiking in the snow, picking up trash in our parks and open spaces, and helping children pull car tires from the river. Author and community leader Margaret J. Wheatley has stated that there is no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about. This time last year, I witnessed that for myself and understood for the first time what she meant. CEI was given the opportunity to purchase the last working farm in Columbia, Maryland, and they shared this dream, their vision of a community center, with their friends, families, and local residents, and asked for help. And the response was more than we could have imagined. People showed up. They showed up with their time, their finances, their own visions, their connections, their services, their encouragements, and their desire to see this through until the end. Within the vision of creating a center in order to build a community, incidentally, a community was built. And that community discovered what it cared about. So tonight I want to thank the support of the Howard County government, and your belief and vision provided the necessary funds to finalize the acquisition of the farm earlier this summer. Now that our roots are planted, we have started our period of significant growth. During this time, continued county support will allow us to sustain regenerative agricultural practices and to develop a sustainability-focused experiential education center that will provide an urban farm setting for public school children, contribute to youth workforce development, and continue to support Howard County's green initiatives and reach further into the county. Thank you again for your support of the Community Ecology Institute and for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Next, we have Elisa Neifeld-Battis, followed by Stephanie Carr and Gabriel Smith. Next, we have Stephanie Carr.
Good evening. Thank you, everybody, staying awake. Okay. My name is Stephanie Carr. I'm a mother of 3 children with disabilities, and I'm the co-chair of CCAC for Howard County. CCAC is the Special Education Citizens Advisory Committee that advises the school district on the needs of students with disabilities and collaborates with other community disability advocacy groups to improve special education and the lives of our students here in the county. I first want to thank you for getting the resolution passed, or pushed through and then passed for the MSDE audit. CCAC is looking forward to the findings specifically in the area of special education. That being said, what I'm asking right now, Dr. Ball, is that for you and your administration to uphold the promise to not only make education a top funding priority, but also to, quote, ensure we are providing the highest caliber education for all our students for years to come. I got that off your press release. Thank you very much. So what does that mean for high caliber education for all of our students? Obviously, that includes students with disability. I could speak more than 3 minutes, more than 5 minutes, 2.5-hour lunch with you, Dr. Ball, on what the achievement gap is with students with disabilities. So I'm just going to throw out a couple of numbers. Currently, Howard County has 6,148 students receiving services. That is 10.4% of the population, and it is still under the state average of 12.2%. We should be rolling about in the 11% of students with disabilities, and we are aware that there are children that are under-identified. For reading, and students with disabilities when it comes to being proficient. According to the MCAP in the 3rd grade, 86.1% of students with disabilities are not reading and writing proficiently. For 6th graders, 91.3% of students with disabilities are not reading and writing proficiently. For graduation rates, the last 2 years for Howard County, all students have been over 90%. Students with disabilities are graduating at 67%. So what is the caliber of education for them? 4 teachers testified in front of the BOE on November 7th, 2 of them in tears, describing the conditions in which they are required to teach. And we're not talking about the buildings, but what they have to deal with in their classroom. They are overworked, they are understaffed. Many of them, of the 4, 2 had to take mental health days to recoup. Some had to simply get caught up on their special ed required paperwork. And then they needed subs, which they do not have, which are not highly qualified to teach special education as well. So without the funding that we believe is special education is federally mandated and therefore should be a long-term funding obligation for not only the school district but also for the county council as well, as the two go hand in hand when the district provides the stepping stones for children with education and the county council provides inclusive opportunities through services and transportation when these children become adults. I want to thank you for your time, and I'm actually requesting that if anybody could come out and shadow one of these special educators and see what they have to deal with. It would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Gabriel Smith, followed by Deba Jaffrey and Erica Jones. Okay. Next, we have Deba Jaffrey, followed by Erica Jones.
Good evening, County Executive, Dr. Ball, Dr. Sun, and Mr. Robbins. My request is simple. It's year 2. You are the uniter, and it is clear that chasms of misunderstanding exist between communities in our county. We are about to become a majority-minority county, so we really need to live our values and try and make things better to the best of our ability. The roadmap is attached to my testimony. Astonishingly, not really, it comes from our neighbors in Montgomery County. So I still have to deal with relentless teasing on my progressive paradise being next door. We will create our own here is always my response. I'm not asking for specifics. Between what I have attached and all the ideas in the transition report, there's plenty to come up with a plan that works for us right here in Howard County. But reading the MoCo legislation, just wow, I want it. I want it all. You can do it over 3 years. I'm not asking for it overnight. I know there are immense pressures on the budget this year, but we can start with first steps. Maybe in the first year, hire a chief equity officer or racial equity program manager. And then we go from there, training for county government staff and programs in the community in partnership with other organizations. What I know is that America is becoming more diverse with every passing year. Muhammad is in the top 10 boy names for the first time ever. We have to learn how to live, work, and play together in this diverse community of ours. The promise of America that we are all striving to achieve includes the pursuit of happiness. Nobody's happy when there's racial tension, division, and misunderstanding. Let's break down those miscommunications and misunderstandings and do a better job of understanding who we are and how we got here and how to solve these structural inequities in our society. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Erica Jones, followed by Sky Anderson and Ellen Packard.
Good evening. I've never done anything like this before. Okay. My name is Erica Jones, and I'm here this evening to give my testimony on why I believe programming funds for the Community Ecology Institute is a win for Howard County and our residents. I am invested both personally and professionally with this organization because I believe wholeheartedly that the farm is going to enrich the lives of so many. When I first stepped foot on the farm, I immediately felt the energy of belonging. This is the same energy I feel when I think about what a gift it is to be born and raised in Howard County. Excuse me, I choose to remain and raise my own family here because my county is in the business of encouraging our communities to thrive. This, too, is CEI's primary mission. The farm is a place where so many diverse interests within our communities will be supported and will give our communities the room to flourish. CEI has developed such incredible and intentional programming designed to benefit anyone who wants to make a positive impact on themselves and their community. Particularly where I am most passionate is in the farming, agriculture, and health and wellness programs. I'm currently serving my community as a master gardener with the University of Maryland Cooperative Extension. I serve as chair of the Grow It, Eat It program for Howard County. Grow It, Eat It is a University of Maryland statewide signature program that promotes backyard and community food production. Grow It, Eat It has been allocated land on the farm to develop a hands-on learning garden. This garden will be the hub for educational programming that will connect people with local food grown by their own hands and will encourage them to take what they've learned and make impacts they'll be able to see for themselves, both in health and environmental benefits. When we give ourselves space to learn and grow when we give ourselves space to learn and grow, amazing things happen. I believe the farm at CEI is that space we've all been looking for. Please help us to keep Howard County communities on the ascent. With your support, it will help facilitate the greatest reach possible to our communities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Sky Anderson, followed by Ellen Packard and Dwight Wilcox.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm Sky Anderson. I have been a homeowner in the village of Hickory Ridge for 30 years. I came to this part of the country thanks to my uncle who sent me here. You may know him. His name is Uncle Sam, or the Army. So I am retired military. I am also a board member of the Hickory Ridge Village Board. And our board has already submitted 4 points that I would just like to not go into any detail tonight, but just to summarize them. First of all, Hickory Ridge Village is bordered by Cedar Lane, Little Patuxent Park, Hickory Ridge Road, 29 and 32. You have heard from several of our neighbors tonight. We are abutted by Howard County Community College, by the hospital, by Grassroots, and by the Community Ecology Institute, all of whom you've heard from tonight. The 4 points that I would just like to summarize that we would like to see additional funding for are roadway and the Complete Streets Initiative, including maintenance and improvement of transportation and infrastructure, and this includes potholes. Secondly, and of course in no particular order, stormwater management and watershed management. One of our residents spoke just a few people ago on Watch Chain Way. One of his trees actually had to be removed naturally because it was absorbing too much water. Thirdly, the Howard County Police Department, we would like to see more patrols, particularly on the pathways, and also additional funding for community engagement. And finally, for the Department of Public Works, trees are very important, and basically we believe that the county is 1 or 2 steps behind the maintenance of trees, and we should be 1 or 2 steps ahead of them. For example, just cutting down and trimming branches before they fall down on houses, that type of thing. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ellen Packard, followed by Dwight Wilcox and Alice Lewis. Okay. Now, next we have Dwight Wilcox. Next we have Alice Lewis. Finally, we have Brent Lovelace.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Brent Lovelace. I'm the current president of the PTA Council of Howard County. Some of our members are far-flung this evening. We have our Director of Issues right now as we speak in OBRC meetings, Operating Budget and Review Committee. We've had our Legislative Committee watching meetings early this morning with the County Council and Ms. Sun going over school budgets. You can see, let me throw out something. This is not pre-prepared. I am going to go off the cuff. We surveyed all the PTA members in Howard County. Actually, we have representatives from every single school but one, and we're hoping to get that last one back before the year changes here. But we asked them, what are your issues? What's important to you? And granted, this is coming from PTA presidents. And guess what the number one item was? Funding, the budget. Number two, overcrowding, i.e. redistricting capacity and all the other functions of it. There are a lot of issues that are very important to parents, hundreds of issues. As a matter of fact, we're expanding our surveys to make sure we prioritize and put as much resources to everything that we can to our entire general membership, which is quite large. But for the short run, we just completed redistricting to fully utilize our school facilities as much as possible within the constraints that we're given. And we're listening to the sessions, and the scary word came up once again, which is raising of student-teacher classroom sizes. Obviously, that is an option when money is tight. It's an option we hope is not exercised in Howard County, and we don't take it for granted that anything will occur magically in the last hour to make that happen. We understand you need the support, you need external items to take place, but I guarantee you that will be a massive item of concern for our organization as we go forward. The OBRC is being asked right now to look at what to cut, and that also is something that the PTA is not for. We're here to advocate for children, not to reduce services to meet an arbitrary line. I would like to thank you and the council and everyone else for helping implement some fees that will help us, as well as the delegation. I would like to be here again next year to thank you as they get tighter and more accurate to provide us all the resources that we need, because we need much more than just Talbot Springs, Hammond, and High School 13. There are follow-ons, and there are over 200 trailers that need to get out of this county. And lastly, I would like to extend the invitation. We are nonpartisan, but all elected officials are welcome to come and present and speak with our membership, and you are also welcome January, February, March, April, May. But please come and speak with our membership and discuss these and help encourage good communications on this. We're here to advocate with you, not against you, as you face many difficult challenges with the budget going ahead. Thank you.
That's appreciated. Thank you.
That concludes all individuals who signed up to testify.
All right. Have a good night, everybody, and thank you.